at CTC, and I've been asked to be the housekeeper, kind of MC person for today. So you'll be seeing my face a lot. Welcome. I hope you all have coffee, the elixir of life to get us all going today. We've got a lot of wonderful chats and a lot of wonderful information coming to our brains. So thank you so much for coming so early in the morning and being with us today. Just a couple of things to go over. Our first administrative briefing, we have a little switch in this schedule. Mr. Mark Harmison is going to go before Dr. Robin Garrett. So they're just kind of switching places just to keep you ahead of the schedule. I hope you all have one of these handy dandy pamphlets. They give you the schedule of the day as well as a breakdown of all of the breakout sessions. And a handy dandy QR code on the back to let us know your thoughts on the day, and that's to fill out at the end of the day, but just to keep in mind to keep this handy with you. Please note that you are always more than welcome to have snacks and drinks. Just make sure you clean up after yourselves. There are trash cans around the room, restrooms outside in this back hallway. And normally we have 3 rooms for the breakout sessions in the afternoon. This time we have 4, which is so wonderful. We have an extra adventure to go through today for you to choose from. So there are 3 rooms right outside here in this hallway, but the 4th one is going to be in this back hallway towards this exit, but it'll be the first door on your right. There'll be a sign and some lovely people welcoming you, so just kind of look out for those options when we get to the breakout sessions after lunch. I want to take some time really quickly just to thank everybody who made this happen. A lot of work does go into putting today together. So first off, our IT team and our multimedia team, they do a lot of work to keep this show running smoothly. Our marketing and our videography. So let's give a round of applause to all these wonderful people. And also, I know I love a good coffee and a croissant in the morning, so thank you so much to the catering team and for our lunch later and our other little treats. Our catering and Great Western for the tasty treats and the caffeine, which will get us through. And then, of course, our graphics and printing at Repo Graphic for these handy-dandy pamphlets, which will keep us on time all day today. So, and of course, the Dean's of Instruction's office that has crafted this day for us. So round of applause for all of those as well. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we have our first up, Dr. Michelle Carter, our Chancellor. Wonderful. So we're going to go with, just kidding, Mr. Mark Harmison. And just a heads up, I will also be timing everyone. So for those of you who are presenting, you're good to go until you see a yellow card in this right corner. And then that means you have a minute left. And then when it switches to red, that means kind of wrap it up. And in perfect drama way, if needed, I'll play an orchestra like they do at the Tonys, and we'll get you playing off, all right? So welcome, and round of applause for Mr. Mark Harmison.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm not going to give the traditional finance and administration spiel, whatever you may think that would entail. So instead, we're going to go ahead and start out with hopefully everybody will be able to see. Next. Well, you can go ahead and move it up.
Everybody welcome Dr. Carter. We're going to hear from her first. Thank you so much.
If you can't tell, Dr. Garrett is one of my BFFs. I left mine in the car. Good morning, and I do apologize for my tardiness this morning. It's not like me, but I'm working on 1.5 hours of sleep. And so one of the things that I've learned since becoming chancellor, other than drinking water from a fire hose, I live, sleep, and eat, drink this place. I go to bed thinking about Central Texas College. I wake up thinking about Central Texas College. If you get an email from me at 2 in the morning, I'm not looking for you to respond, but I just got to get it off my chest until I can, so that I can continue on to the next thing. So I just want to say I have a couple of things. I've learned that I have to write everything down now as well. So I won't be before you long because I do have some place to go here shortly. But I want to say thank you so much for, Lee, do I need to move? Okay. I want to cooperate. But I want to say thank you. You all have been tremendous in your support, in your patience, in your counsel. Some of you have even given me counsel. And you've been liberal and generous with your prayers, which I truly appreciate. So I'll get right into it in terms of my comments. One of the things that I shared with you, and I was reminded of, thank you, Jean, was that the last time I was with you, I was going to talk to you about my vision for the college. And so what I don't want to do is confuse that with the vision of the college. And the vision of our institution is that we would be a leader in providing innovative academic, technical, continuing, and adult education to our diverse worldwide community to meet student and workforce needs. My personal vision for our institution, not to be confused with that, is that we are a premier institution of higher education, cultivating a culture of care and innovation that benefits all CTC stakeholders. And that culture of care is extremely important. We are getting there. But what that means is when you consider other people, not just our students, not when you just go the distance for our students, but when you do that internally for one another, it produces good things. It produces good things. It produces communication and collaboration and all of those good things. And in that type of environment, we can truly be innovative because it takes all of us, not just faculty, not just staff and the administration. We are all in this together. And what I would say to you is what I've been telling my husband since before September 1, we are one college. We are one college. And I will tell you, if there's one thing that has broken my heart since becoming chancellor, probably even before that, but more so as chancellor, is some of the silos that I see. And I am heck bent, I'm telling you right now, I am heck bent on tearing those down. And so that comes through that culture of care and innovation and collaboration and communication and not criticism and that sort of thing. So there's good seeds and bad seeds. So just make sure you're operating with the good ones. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, and part of that also, let me backtrack. That is just foundational for everything else. I mean, it's foundational for student success. It's foundational for employee development and growth. And it's foundational for CTC truly being an economic driver in this community and really abroad, all over, because we continue to provide education and training to students literally all over the world. I was just in communication with Ansika. I just reached out to her to see how she was doing, and she's doing amazing, and she's talking to students over there in Europe and Africa and the Middle East, and so that's a good thing. We are still everywhere serving our students. Next item I wanted to talk to you about is Senate Bill 17. So obviously, the state of Texas, the legislature passed Senate Bill 17, which basically eliminated DEI, but not in its entirety. And what I mean by that is, number one, you can't force anyone to do anything. We can't have DEI practices in our hiring. We can't use DEI in our hiring practices, as well as some other things. But there are still activities that we can do that support our students. And so what our attorney has done is we worked together, and she developed a message that's going on our website. It will go on the chancellor's page. And she's also included in a link embedded in there from the Texas Association of School Boards. And what the Texas Association of School Boards did, because there are no policies out right now, just legislation and some rules. But what the Texas Association of School Boards did is they created an FAQ. It's about 8 to 10 pages. And it basically dissects Senate Bill 17 to let you know what you can and you cannot do. And ultimately, if there's any confusion, then obviously we will consult with our attorney. So I know that she's in conversations with Karen and maybe Erica, so we should be launching that perfectly today. So I just want to touch base with you on Senate Bill 17. I know that as the semester starts, many of you are concerned about how you serve your students and what you can and cannot do. And so I wanted to make you aware of that we've not been remiss. We enjoyed the break as well. Also wanted to talk to you about, when I talk about One College, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our community presence. One of the things that I've done in the last 4 months is when it's time to attend events off campus, rather than 2 seats here, 2 seats there, or a table if we paid some sort of membership, I've been purchasing tables. I've been making sure that we have a table or 2 at these community events. And I want to include faculty more and more, because as I said to our team, it shouldn't be the usual suspects. CTC is so much more than the admin building, right? And so I want to ensure that we give you all opportunities. I know that some of you have in the past, but I want to expand that so that I don't have to be at every event. But Dr. Garrett and I talk about this often, and we talk about with Mr. Harmson as well. I don't have to be at every event. As long as CTC has a delegation and we're present, because if you're there, they're there, we're all there. And so look for more of that. If you're interested, you can reach out to or actually your dean, let your dean know. I'm trying to control the flow of traffic in my inbox. And that's something you're interested in, let your dean know. And when it's time, then we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to attend those events, okay? Let's see. One of the reasons I'm rushing, I do apologize, A&M is hosting its annual Forge Research Park Summit today. And yours truly has been invited to serve on the panel, so I'm going to represent you. I want to thank Dr. Cook, Dr. Bach, Dr. De Leon, Dr. Cruz Seeley, what's Sam's last name? Jackson. Mr. Jackson. As I was preparing my presentation, I was sending out these mad emails to better understand the programs, and the responses were wonderful, and I feel better prepared because I'm going to represent you. I'm going to represent you in all that you do for our students and for our community today. So wish me well. Okay. She's not going to like this, but I have to say something about Dr. Tracy Cook. So I won't look at her. And then after I say this, I'm going to run out so that she doesn't. I tell you, Dr. Cook does not cease to amaze me. And when I tell you, there is no stronger advocate for you all at the table with the administration than Dr. Cook. And that's in part just because of who she is, her longevity here at the college, her experience. And so when we are around the table having conversations, or she's in the room, people lean in. So I tell you, one of the reasons I'm so grateful for Dr. Cook is that when Dr. Fisher left, for those of you who don't know, when Dr. Fisher left, Dr. Cook stepped up and sometimes stepped out, which was uncomfortable for her because she does not like to be in the spotlight like she is right now. So she agreed to fill in as interim dean. And I was so grateful for that because I've watched Dr. Cook for years, so it was truly a no-brainer for me. But then when Dr. Ady announced her retirement in September, I thought, well, I don't want the current vice chancellor to hire the incoming dean, the new dean. And so Tracy agreed to continue on. I'm going to try not to frustrate the grace and belabor the point in terms of selecting a new vice chancellor, but I am taking my time simply because it has to be the right person, not just for this institution, but for you. In my conversations with department chairs, in my conversations with other administrators, there are some credentials and experiences that I have deemed non-negotiable. Teaching experience, executive level experience, understanding faculty, having worked with faculty before. It is not enough that you held an executive level position and you know nothing about faculty. I will not do that to you. So Dr. Cook, thank you for your patience. I'm working on it. Thank you for your patience to all the deans and associate deans and faculty as well. So I need to leave and get over and hustle over to Texas A&M, but I will be back at 2:30. I think that's my thing now, is to wish you well for the semester. Again, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your patience with me. I think it's going to take a little longer than I thought. 32 years, I'm finding out I only know this much.
That's all right.
So again, be patient with me. Continue to encourage me. Continue to counsel me, continue to stop by my office. Some of you have done that, and some of you have sent me some of the most helpful communications and encouraging communications. Please keep it up. It means a lot to me because I want to stay connected. You guys have a great day.
Okay, are you guys okay if we turn the lights off?
Yes.
You're not gonna fall asleep. Yes? Marginally. Start it up. There's just music at the moment, so.
I think you're already yelling.
I will make it very quick. You want to get your piece? We're just trying to see if they can turn the body up. Yeah, it was playing, it just wasn't. Okay, so how about if we're working on trying to increase the audio to the presentation. So how about if we jump in, allow Dr. Garrett to go ahead and do it while we're working on that, and then we'll jump in. Because I know you guys are working at time.
That's not taking up my time.
I'm on it, I'm on it.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
On New Year's Day, I tested positive. So, yeah, based on the 10-day thing, I think today or tomorrow, I don't have to do this anymore. But for your safety, I'm wearing it. So, but anyway, good morning and welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I know that you have probably heard, and if you haven't, you're hearing it now, that we are in the throes of our reaffirmation process with SAC COC, and we're almost there. This is a two-year process of writing and getting this together. Every 10 years, we go through reaffirmation. So the last time we were reaffirmed was in 2020. Our new reaffirmation is 2025. You say, well, gosh, we just came to 2024. That's what I mean. It's a 2-year process of writing our compliance documents, evaluating them, submitting them. Even before we submit them, Erica, our webmaster, she has to take everything we write, put it into a wonderful HTML format with links to everything. It ends up being probably 1,000 pages, this document. And then I got to hopefully zip it and upload it. So that's why it's due March 1st, but my goal is to make my first attempt of uploading it by February 15th, because if it fails, we got to do some work to make sure that we can get it uploaded. But that's my goal. And a lot of you have participated in the writing of the compliance document. There are 72 principles or standards that we have to write to. And the leads have been reaching out to all of you and getting information and writing our story, because that's what it's about. It's about writing our story and how we are in compliance with the rules of the Department of Ed and of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. If we are out of compliance, we do have another opportunity called a focus report. So once I submit that in February 15th, fingers crossed, then we will get feedback probably early May that then we can write a focus report. 95% of the institutions that submit a compliance report do have to do a focus report. So I'm pretty sure we're not going to be the 5%. I'd love to be, but I'm counting on us having to do a focus report, which means that we didn't give them enough information to demonstrate compliance with their standard. We just have to demonstrate that with additional words, additional submissions. So we'll do the focus report. We have to get that in as soon as possible. Then in September, we're going to have some of the SACS team that will be part of our team go to some of our off-site locations. So in September, we'll visit Fort Knox, Fort Johnson, which was Fort Polk, Fort Gregg Adams, which was Fort Lee, Fort Moore, which was Fort Benning. So they will visit those locations in September. Then October 6th through the 10th is when they come here. It's all hands on deck. My team has been told no vacations and you can't be sick. Don't tell me you got COVID. I don't care. You're going to be here, and there's going to be a lot of you that will be required to interview with the SACS team that's here. Some of the standards that they have to review, they have to review the ones that we wrote the focus report. So if we weren't in compliance with the first report, they have to review those while they're here, and they have to interview people in association with that. But there are also 22 standards that the Department of Ed requires that they review while they're here, of the 72. Some of those standards, and the ones that affect you as faculty most, are the ones that relate to programs, the programs that you run, program coordination, student achievement, student outcomes, program content, program length, general ed requirements, and distance education. For any of those, they could ask me to put together a team of you guys that they want to talk to. Hopefully we'll know before they get here so that I can assemble the teams and get everybody together and brief you on what they may or may not ask and things like that. But they could, when they get here, be reviewing something and say, hey, I really want to talk to that aviation group. And I got to get them either over there or the aviation group over here. So that's what will happen when they come to visit. On October 6th, which happens to be a Sunday, there'll be a team that comes in. Then on Monday, that team will go visit Lampasas High School, Coppers Cove High School, Parker Heights High School, and Fort Cavazos. They will do that on Monday. The rest of the team, there's a team of 10. So the rest of the team will come in on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are when those interviews will be. So just kind of keep that in mind. Hopefully I'll be able to give you all a heads up ahead of time. But if not, we'll be scrambling at the last minute with what they want. We're an open book when they come. Anything and everything is fair game. October 10th, which is the Thursday, will be the wrap up. Hopefully we'll know something. The last one that I was a evaluator on, that last day, the principals, there were 2 for that institution that they were still out of compliance with after the visit. We sat down with them and explained why. So they knew when we left what the 2 were, so they can begin writing that. You do have another chance to then write, and hopefully the board, the SACS board, will take what you say to respond to the lack of compliance, and then we'll know in December of 2025. Hopefully we'll know a little bit before that, but we'll know for sure by then. But that's the plan of action from SACS. Some of this information is brand new. I just found out. I had a meeting with our SACS VP while we were on Christmas break because they don't take as much time as we do, and got some of the details about where they're going to be going, and some of the outline of how many people. During that time that they're here, we have to treat them like royalty. We have to feed them, transport them, take care of them, give them little chachi gifts, but have all the comforts of home in their hotel room. So there's a lot involved with the compliance review. And some of you may be called on for transport or for entertaining. I don't know. We'll have to see what their outline is for their agenda when I get that. Additionally, on top of all of that, we have to provide documentation of what we're going to do for a quality enhancement plan, a QEP. Last time, some of you may remember, it was FAST. This time we're working towards doing a different type of model for student success with student success coaches. On the 25th, the QEP team has a presentation with some people to help us refine the presentation before we go to the chancellor with it. Because it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money to have these student success coaches. And we hope that this model will enhance hopefully what Mark's going to tell you about in a minute, our completion numbers, because we're funded based on completion. And by having student success coaches, that model is proven to help our students get across the finish line and finish what we need to get our funding from the state and what they need to be successful in their life, right? So that's why we want to do this QEP. So keep your fingers crossed that we're successful on that. We have to submit that for their review. They'll review that while they're here and give us the blessing to move forward with it, the SACS team. Additionally, on all of this, on top of all this, we're doing prison education program submission. You know, we've been in Gatesville for a long time at the prison, but now there's an opportunity for Pell for the detainees, and we have to submit to TDCJ, to SACS, to the Department of Ed. It's a long process, and we're in the midst of doing that to get Pell for prisoners. The other thing is competency-based education. We've submitted to have approval for our competency-based education that we've been doing for 30 some odd years, but SACS has a new rule now that says we have to get their approval to do what we're doing. We haven't stopped what we're doing it anyway, but we do have to get their blessing to do it, what we are excellent at doing already. So that's what I have to say. I wish you a wonderful semester. I hope that everything goes well for you. My team stands ready to help you in any way they can with supporting the students, getting students enrolled, tutoring, anything you need. Please reach out to the appropriate dean or to myself. Thank you all so much for everything you do.
If this doesn't work, then we'll work out the bugs. My fault, I didn't get it to them in advance. I brought it this morning. Otherwise, if this doesn't work, then what we'll do is we'll just move on so you guys aren't delayed in the program, and then I'll come back later on this afternoon and go ahead. Okay, can you guys hear that? Hopefully, over the noise, whatever. We'll start it over so that way you guys. Okay, here we go.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody have that?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello! There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do. So.
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
You said you can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. Who says you can fix it?
Walking down the sidewalk, kicking my feet as I'm moving to the music. Step to the beat, I want to take it to all my friends and I step from the side. My guitar in my hands, and I know it's before I understand you as the end. I can't tell them I
Okay. Change, right? We're all experiencing it. We're all going through, and unfortunately, we are all seeing a whole lot more of it than probably we are comfortable. We've got a new funding model through the state. There's new leadership across the organization, and certainly there are a lot of new opportunities for each of us going forward. I'm going to just share real quickly because I know my time is going to be up because of the video troubles, and I thank you for your patience there. 4 critical areas that I've identified that I think we really need to continue to focus on. One is House Bill 8. So that was one of the things. So a couple key things that everybody needs to know. Contact hour funding, which is the way that the state had funded us in the past, is gone. It's no more. Hasta la vista. Goodbye. Funding is now based on student success and outcomes. That's essentially where the state is moving us. They want to see that students are graduating, students are leaving college with a credential of value. Continuing education. Dr. De Leon may talk a little bit more about this later on. It's now a fundable opportunity. In the past, it wasn't. Now going forward, there's going to be a huge opportunity for us to take advantage of opportunities around credentials of value, certificates, industry recognized credentials that will provide students with a living wage, which is the ultimate intent. Student retention, that's going to be critical. If students end up dropping out, if they end up leaving, if they end up going somewhere else, if they end up doing something else, ultimately does not benefit the college, doesn't ultimately benefit them. So we really are going to have to make sure that we've got efforts focused on student retention, the registration process. How do we make it as simple as possible for students to register? The more complicated we make it, the more likely students are to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and register somewhere else. The onboarding experience, what is that like when the student goes ahead and, enrolls in class? What can we do to make sure it is as easy as possible? I think everybody knows that, at least my kids, this is where it's at, and how do we make it as simple as possible? The more steps we put in, the more barriers we put in place, the harder it's going to be, and then the more frustrated I think students are going to get. So we've got a couple changes that I think are certainly going to assist. This by no means is the end all. I think there's a lot of work that we all have to do, but we've got a new marketing company. Karen Rudolph is working with a company called Vision Point, who is going to be assisting us with some of the front end marketing piece, with some data analytics and some other things that I think will be a huge benefit to the college. Dr. Garrett had mentioned Julie Starkey and the team working on success coaches. My wife is actually a success coach at another institution. I will not mention the name of that institution. However, they've seen a lot of success in engaging students, helping students through problems, helping them navigate difficult situations, whether it's in the classroom, in their personal lives, but those are key things to keeping students enrolled in class. And then overall onboarding experience, there's a number of groups that are going to be, a number of teams that are going to be meeting to improve communications, to improve the onboarding experience for students. We're going to be looking at the drop process. I know that's been one that has come up, when we make it difficult for students to stay in a class, certainly, that hurts enrollment. Ultimately, it comes down to student success. How do we help them achieve some type of degree, industry recognized certificate? You guys are going to be critical to that. The department chairs, the deans, we have been trying to see what we can do to identify industry recognized credentials. And actually the coordinating board, I think we got a copy of this, on December the 12th, the Texas Workforce Commission adopted 2023 industry, or they developed an inventory of industry recognized credentials. So we have more of an official list, because I think that was a question around, where do we go? Which ones can we look at? That has already been forwarded, I think, to the deans. And so you guys can certainly get access to that information. But new programs, that's certainly key. We've been having those conversations over the last couple of months. What are the new programs that we need to be evaluating? What do we currently have that we can potentially improve upon? What do we think that we need to develop in order to go ahead and continue to try to draw students into the overall college? I can tell you some focus areas that have been discussed. Certainly healthcare, that's a huge one within our community. We've got career and technical education. I mean, there are a lot of career and industry certificates related to that, which would also include advanced manufacturing, semiconductor industry, and then of course IT. So those are a couple areas. Not that all areas are important, but those are certainly some key areas, I think, moving forward that we're going to go ahead and continue to focus on. Along with that, we've also started having conversations with a number of the department chairs around facilities. We are looking at what kind of changes do we need to make as a campus in order to go ahead and support those new programs that we're all looking to implement. So I think you're going to see an updated facilities master plan that will be coming out. We are in the process, I think, in April for potentially hiring a new architectural firm, unless we continue to retain the existing one. I should say that it's being recorded, and we haven't gone out with an RFQ yet. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But once that architectural firm has been finalized, going forward, we'll be able to go ahead and have some additional conversations around what some of those new plans need to look like. And certainly, as I talked about the new programs and stuff. As a part of House Bill 8, we've got, I'm getting the 8. As a part of House Bill 8, can we finish? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a part of House Bill 8, we have FAST. So you guys have probably heard in regards to FAST. So that's essentially, it's for dual credit students. Everybody knows we've got early college, high school. We've got a number of other dual credit programs throughout the college. But there's 4 things that you guys really need to go ahead and just be aware of and take away from the overall FAST. Students need to complete 15 semester credit hours in order for the college to go ahead and look at getting reimbursed. There are dollars tied to successful completion of 15 semester credit hours. There are dollars tied to students who graduate. There are dollars tied to students who transfer to a 4-year public university. There are dollars tied to students who earn an industry recognized certification. So those basic 4 things are where, whether we like it or not, change is occurring and the state is really moving us in that general direction. Budget. We've certainly recognized that we've got a number of initiatives that we need to focus on. We are going to be changing the way that the budget process goes forward. In the past, I think we send it out, we say, hey, we're going to give you a budget. Sometimes it's like, well, your budget's going to be the same as what it was last year. Probably haven't focused enough on major strategic initiatives, new programs. What do we need to do to be successful as an institution? That's where the focus is going to be going forward. There's going to be more conversations around, where are we at around taxes, where are we at around tuition, where are we at around the potential leveraging of grants. How do we try to maximize all of the opportunities for dollars that are potentially available, see what we can do to funnel resources into those strategic initiatives so that we can be successful moving forward. And certainly you're going to see a lot more around process improvement, whether that's around new committees, whether it's onboarding, relationship management, communications, etc. So the last thing that I'm going to go ahead and leave you with, and I'll just speak for myself, don't have all the answers. We're going to need to do this as a team, the deans, the chairs, the faculty, so please, if you have ideas, please share. We will see what we can do to try to engage. I don't know that the faculty senate is up and going at the moment, are they? No, I think it's being discussed, but certainly I think we want to find out what can we do to engage faculty, engage leadership throughout the organization. Change can be painful, but nothing is as painful as being stuck and missing out on what could have been. And I think we certainly don't want to be in that position. I think there's a lot of fantastic opportunities going forward. We're certainly trying to go ahead and do what we can to take the appropriate steps to continue with all the change that we're seeing. Last thing I'm going to leave everybody with, because I know I'm way past my time, is that I've talked to the deans and I've said that I will be happy to come to a future department chair meeting where we can have more detailed conversation about any of these things, a little bit more open dialogue, and hopefully that will at least continue the discussion and improvements that we need to make. So anyway, thank you. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Welcome back, favorite people. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Can you hear me okay? All right. And happy Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Where are our protective services peeps? All right. We appreciate them. It's also National Static Electricity Day. Shockingly, I'm not making that up. I know, I was reaching it. Anyhow, it is so good to see you again. Remember last fall when Dr. Melissa Gonzalez sang to you on my behalf? changes, turn and face the strange. I'm practically Nostradamus, right? So in light of all the changes that's been happening, and both Dr. Garrett and Mr. Harmson and Dr. Carter all spoke about these, we have been very busy in the hallway of Deans of Instruction. And holy cow, I want to thank some people for getting us through a time where everything is new. I too want to just thank Dr. Tracy Cook, the Interim Dean of Academic Instruction. Your expertise and your calm persona keep us grounded. So thank you all. Thank you so much. Associate Dean Veronica Martin, the Queen of Pathways, Perkins, and Piles of Data. Just see you over the monitor. Thank you for everything you've done to hold us together. Associate Dean Matt Lyles, who has been wrestling a Sachs alligator that's like 87 feet long. Thank you. He's also a rock in keeping the office open and functioning. Associate Dean Janelle Deal. It doesn't matter what I ask her or call her about, she always says the same thing. Okay, thank you, Dean Bach, I'm happy to. She is such a positive spirit, so thank her. The people who have been inducted into our office without being asked or agreeing, but who are so very helpful. Babette Bob Davis, she keeps us in forms legality. Naomi Kuhn, she can answer any and all questions. And Elizabeth Swope, who is catching that Ad Astra boomerang that keeps coming back to her. She can't seem to get rid of it. So thank you to all of them. Thank you also, Dr. John DeLeon. Your sense of humor keeps me sane, and so I appreciate that. To the amazing group of 14 department chairs, I imagine you want to clobber me every time you see the letter COB. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done to get information submitted. And most importantly for today, the in-service team, I want to thank them again. Veronica Martin, Emily Roedger, Dr. Melissa Gonzalez, Matt Lyles, Catherine Oster, thank you all for making today happen. I am also happy to announce that we have a new team member in the Office of Instruction. Summer Cloninger will be joining us next Tuesday as the Office Assistant 2. So we will have somebody to keep us in line. So we will be a lot less dangerous now. So we're looking forward to welcoming her next week. So come by and say hi. You'll notice we've also did a little remodeling thanks to Matt and to Tracy Cook. So we have a whole new look over in the Office of Instruction. As you've heard this morning, we have lots of big projects underway. House Bill 8, where we're aligning curriculum and certifications. The department chairs have been working on that. Pathways, Veronica is going to talk to you more about that. The Sachs reaffirmation, we're going to hear a lot about that for the next, well, I don't know, lifetime, I think. Launching new programs, the department chairs have been working on those already. And community partnerships. Dr. DeLeon is doing a great job of getting us out into the community. Teams of people have met with, all of a sudden it has left me. We're going down to Firefly Aerospace, Dongjing, Simi Kim. So we're having a lot more community outreach thanks to HIB efforts. We're also working on improving processes, streamlining and things like approvals and routing, make all of our lives easier. And as Dr. Carter said, there isn't much time for sleep. So speaking of sleep, I talk in my sleep. I have entire conversations in my sleep. I'm not aware of them, and I have no recollection of them the next day. The only real evidence I have of it is my husband, who often wakes me up laughing at me. So recently I made a proclamation as if I were some sort of Roman orator. Tomorrow, I shall contact the serial killer. Yeah. So my husband immediately woke me up and said, "Wait, do you know a serial killer?" I said, "I don't think so." So I don't really know what's going on there. Sometimes my comments are directives, sometimes they're accusations, sometimes they're just observations. But all of us are seeking the hidden meaning in life. And so I'm looking for meaning in these things that happen to me. So I'm going to tell you about 3 life lessons that I've recently learned from these nighttime discussions that I have with myself and who's ever nearby, apparently. So last week, I think it was, I said, apparently in the middle of the night, I grabbed my husband and I said, "Take the comms." Like I was getting ready to leave the bridge of a starship or something. So, but I'm thinking what that refers to is better communication. You know, we heard it from Mr. Harmson. We need better communication. We all know that. We all talk about it. We are striving to make communication more inclusive, more timely, more clear. And if you have ideas on how we can do that, please talk to us. Talk to anybody in the dean's office. Talk to any department chair so that they can get it to us. But we definitely need to communicate more clearly, more often, more meaningfully. Last week, late last week, I apparently said to my husband in the night, I found your stash. I am not making any of this up. This is all God's honest truth. So how many of you are thinking right now it was a pot stash? Be honest. He is from Holland. No pot stash. Okay. How many of you thinking porn stash? How many of you are thinking the beard hairs in the sink that are there every morning? Anybody? Okay. How many of you are fans of Ted Lasso? Woo, Ted Lasso. All right. So Ted Lasso, I'll put a plug in for the show. If you have not watched Ted Lasso and you're wondering how to make this world a better place, watch Ted Lasso. It is a charming, heartfelt, meaningful show disguised as a comedy. One of my favorite Ted Lasso episodes shows Ted Lasso in a discussion about a quote from Walt Whitman. And the quote is, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I find that really meaningful because that's something I've had to face in my job a lot after being a dean for 20 years. Often when somebody comes into my office, I can jump to the conclusion, I know what this person's here for. I know what they're going to ask me. I know what their problem is. I know what they want. And I'm usually wrong because it's usually something completely different. So if you had a chance to be curious today, if I weren't standing at a podium, hopefully you would say to me, so what was that stash that you're accusing your husband of having? So he did ask me in the night, he said, so what stash is that? And I said, still while I was asleep, dirty dishes. Apparently in my dream, had found that he had a stash of dirty dishes. So the lesson that I've got from this one is the one that Ted Lasso teaches us, and that is to be curious, not judgmental. Ask for more information, ask for people's stories, be open, and be encouraging. And I know as faculty you do that already, but it's a good lesson to remember. And lastly, this one's just from like 2 nights ago. You don't often see a doggy door on the CIA building. Yeah, I've got nothing for that. If you figure it out, please let me know. But what I'm taking from it right now, before I figure out what it really is life doesn't always make sense, and there isn't always meaning in everything that happens, even though we search for it. So don't take things too seriously. Laugh at ourselves. Laugh with other people as much as we can. And I think if we do those things with our students, if we communicate, if we are open to them, if we are inquiring and curious about them and encouraging for them to share, and if we can laugh and we can share that laughter with them, I think that'll take us most of the way there. So welcome back. It is wonderful to see you and to be here with you today, and I look forward to this semester.
That was amazing. And before I get started, I also want to thank the Office of Instruction just for being so welcoming to me. You're amazing to work with, and Matt, just everything you do is very supportive, so thank you. So welcome back. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. As I look around every semester, this room gets smaller in terms of how many people are here. And so I walked in again this morning and I thought, oh, so glad to see everyone that's here, but what happened, right? So there's 2 things I want to, I guess, touch on today. And the first one is to recognize and highlight how amazing I think you all are. I've been here over 20 years, and during that time, I'm always impressed and amazed with what faculty are doing. And there's 2 things specifically that I kind of think of when I think of faculty. One is resilience. We've been talking, or Mark's been talking a lot about change. We've been talking a lot about change. we do have a lot of change that we're going through, and I'm not really worried about it because I've watched you over the last, 20 years deal with change. We're constantly dealing with change, and you always come to the table and you always make whatever we need happen. And so I'm excited about, some of the changes that we have because I know that you guys will be kind of the driving force of what we do, and your resilience will get us through. Also innovation. Same thing. I watched, how many years ago we remember COVID and we had a week's notice to reimagine all of our courses because we were going to do them virtually for the rest of the semester. And I remember at the time thinking, how's that going to happen, right? And everyone did it. We successfully got our students to the end, and in the, after that, I saw some amazing things that people had come up with. So that was exciting. And then a year ago, we had our system hack. And I think one thing that got lost in all of that was that we had online classes going on at the time that were in the middle of a term. And even though Blackboard as a system was not affected, unbeknownst to many of us, CTC had stored a lot of Blackboard content on our CTC system. And so we had online courses where the content was all of a sudden gone. And especially I know in Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences, my online managers are my backbone, and they working with the faculty somehow, I can't figure this out, somehow managed to get through the end of those terms because we literally had assessments where students would open up an assessment, and in econ classes, there are no graphs that you can see where the question's asking you to interpret a graph. And so student by student in these courses, faculty figured out how to successfully get to the end of a semester where, and for all intents and purposes, the courses were no longer viable, but you did it. And I mean, this has happened throughout my 20 years. This is what I've been watching. And so I know that through your resilience and your innovation, that whatever we face, we are going to be just fine. So I'm confident with that. The other thing that I want to touch on is just kind of my vision for how I'm approaching this position and what I hope for in the short term. I've been interim dean for 4 months now. Every single day I have no clue exactly how long I'm going to be interim dean. So I approach it day by day, just figuring out, okay, what are we doing today and what can we do to improve things while I'm here? What can we do to make things better? Again, 20 years of seeing what we could do better. So what can I do in the short term that I'm here? So So we are moving forward. There are some specific things that I would like to tackle and tweak this spring. So for example, program management, I'd like for us to take a more holistic approach. I know at the department chair meeting tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit about this, but for us to really wrap our arms around program management. I know we do student learning outcome assessment as for program reviews, and we do some other things, but really packaging it all together. And so we'll talk about that, and faculty are going to have to be a driving force because you guys teach the courses that make up the programs, and you guys have the expertise in exactly what your program should look like. And so kind of look for some opportunities to engage and help formulate what that process is going to look like. Same thing with core objectives. I think there are 6 instructional departments that have courses in our core, and core assessment, of course, is an important piece. Over this past year, I've been working with some department chairs to look at how we approach that, and I'd like to turn that into a more formal work group so that we actually tackle this at an institutional level, not on an ad hoc basis in some departments and in some courses. So that's on my agenda. And then one thing that's on my agenda, and I think Matt and I are going to successfully achieve this, even though in 20 years it has not been done, is put the right quality and quantity of data in hands of people who need it to make decisions. So whether it's related to program management or handling enrollments in courses or at the department level for courses, but hopefully we can work with the departments to figure out what data do you need at what frequency, and then hopefully work out a system to make that happen. So that would be great. There's a gazillion other things as well, but those are kind of some of the things on the top of my mind. And I'll also share with you my style. Many of you, I'm the department chair for social and behavioral sciences. You're used to my style, and I'm approaching the interim dean position the same way. To me, there's two things that are important. One is to stay out of your way. I don't like to be micromanaged, and I don't want to micromanage. I understand it decreases productivity, it damages morale, and we don't need either of those two things right now, right? And so my plan is, we obviously have amazing faculty, so to give you the space to do your job. At the same time, try to figure out what our needs are and what we can improve upon so that you have an easier time doing your job and you can do it better. And so to that end, I'm hoping that you'll share ideas with me, and I'm sure I'll be reaching out for, information, questions, things like that, so that we can, put together some processes that are a little bit more smooth, et cetera. So I guess, moving forward, just again, a lot of change. I'm not worried about the change. Yes, we're changing how we're funding, but all community colleges are, right? We're still having to do what we do, which is to successfully, engage students and get them through our programs, and that's not new to us, right? And so I'm confident that all of these changes are good. I'm hoping that everybody will share in my hope and optimism about the new administration. I know that's a change, but I'm really excited about it. It's I think a great opportunity for us to, work toward getting where we need to work toward with the right tone. And I'm very appreciative of that as well. So here's to a new semester. If you need me, I'm here. And I hope everyone has a great rest of today. And like I said, if you need anything, just let me know.
I should have Googled my presentation after following those two. Good job. It's a pleasure working with Dr. Bach, Dr. Cook. I've been here 10 months. Yay. I'm 25 years old. Look at me now. I hate to see what I'm going to look like in the next 10 months, but I'm here. Buenos dias. Good morning. Howdy. I'm John De Leon. I am the Dean of Service Area, Adult and Workforce Education. What does the yellow mean again? How many minutes?
You have 1 minute.
Really? Oh, shoot. Okay.
You're good. You still have 10.
All right. Well, do I control this or do you control that? If I go like that, does it move?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
If you would like, you can turn the light off too, to make it.
Oh, I think we're good. Can y'all see that? No. Y'all can't see that. Okay, y'all want to turn the lights off?
It's in the center, to the right. Other right.
Okay, that just cut another minute. I have teaching experience, by the way. 13 to be exact. Plus adjunct work. Okay, I have now 9 minutes to tell you who we are as a division, what we are as a division, where we currently are, and where we want to be. This division was renamed right before I got here to SAWE, Service Area Adult and Workforce Education. Don't blame me. So SAWE is SAWE is under the Vice Chancellor of Instruction and Workforce Initiatives. Formerly, Dr. Ady was our Vice Chancellor. I have under me the Associate Dean. Her name is Dr. Grego. She's been here, I think, like 3 years or so. And there are two main branches in our area: continuing education and adult education and literacy. We also are responsible for 12 counties in our service area, And we have 4 directors out there in Gatesville, Fredericksburg, Lampasas, and Marble Falls. Have 1 administrative assistant that assists us in running this division. Her name is Monica Lane. Our program director for adult ed is Lorraine Juarez. Program manager for continuing ed, Daniel Garcia. And then we have, of course, our service area directors or site directors, Tara Lookhart, Janice Allen, Christy Coast, and Jennifer Crawford. So, continuing education and adult education and literacy. Well, let me tell you a little bit about those two, because some of you might have heard of community education. I think it was known prior to SAWI as community education, continuing ed. Well, again, there are 2 main branches. Under continuing education, we offer career development, personal enrichment, college for kids, and we offer workforce education, corporate training to local business and industry. Under the adult education and literacy side, we offer English as a second language, GED, HSC preparation, and integrated education and training programs. As mentioned, this division encompasses 12 service areas of responsibility, 12 counties, in the service areas. And these include Bell, Burnett, all the way down to San Saba and Williamson County. I'm responsible for providing the same education and training experiences to those areas as are offered here on main campus. So I'm to make sure that we offer continuing education, adult education and literacy. And on top of that, also I'm responsible, where's Miss Janelle Deal? Is she here? She and I are becoming very good partners because I'm also responsible for dual credit at the ISDs. One thing that's fascinating that was mentioned earlier is we are offering education at the Gatesville prison units. And we've been out there for some time. Tara Lookhart, site director over that area. And again, that's one of our main emphasis at this point. And I'll share a little bit more about that in just a moment. But in case if I don't mention it, we need faculty, y'all. We need faculty to go out into the prison units and educate and transform students. I'll be holding probably a brown bag, maybe later on, either this month or next month, to talk about the opportunities that exist out there at Gatesville in the prison units. Now, continuing education is heavily involved in a lot of initiatives. These are just a few that I want to mention to you, so that hopefully I leave you and impress upon you that we are busy, but that we want to collaborate. We want to be a part of what you are a part of. Actually, we want you to be the drivers of what we do. So here are some of the things. House Bill 8, as Mr. Harmson mentioned, is in existence. It's a way of funding now for community colleges. As CTC moves forward in fortifying a plan to accommodate House Bill 8, the criteria, CE is positioning itself as a central player in maximizing the college's efforts. The CE team, more specifically Daniel Garcia and Josie Larkin, they've been actively researching potential alignment of our programs with the credit programs. How many of you have been visited by Daniel or Josie? Very good, very good. That's part of our plan of creating a pathway. And that is, again, an effort to match certifications with one or more of the House Bill 8 performance tier funding categories, so that we're not doing our thing out in left field. We want to make sure that we're aligning our programs with the credit side so that we can create a pathway, multiple entry, multiple exit as we go along. We also would like to be part of the advisory boards. We've been asked by Dr. Bach on a few occasions to sit in her advisory boards, and that is to keep us connected with what's going on with business and industry, and also, again, to align what we're doing with what the credit side is doing. In this case, more in particular, what business and industry are saying that they need. Taking our partnership a little bit further, when I'm talking about partnership with the deans, one of the things that we have started upon, and that is to do an environmental scan, or better, a business industry scan. I mean, why are we creating programs out here when there really isn't a need for them? Shouldn't we be surveying business and industry? What kinds of programs do you need? What kind of skill sets do your employees need? Then let's huddle again. Dr. Bach, Dr. Cook could say, okay, how can we create a program? How can we strengthen what we have? So we're doing, again, we're embarking upon doing that kind of a scan for determining needs. And from that partnership, from that collaboration, from those conversations, we're going to create a business model. We're going to maximize our efforts, our resources, to increase our return on investment. We don't just want to be spinning our wheels and saying, where are we going? I don't know, but we sure are moving fast, aren't we? What's the return on our investment? Which programs are working? Which programs are not? So, the service areas, we also have some initiatives that I want to share with you. There are several, but these are the ones that I think are the highlights. We are looking at diversifying our instructional modalities. We want to grow targeted ISD enrollments. We want to expand dual credit and CTE offerings. We want to escalate the services we offer to the ISDs. We want to increase the number of ISD scholarship awards. And again, bringing up the prison system, we want to capitalize on the prison education program, which is the Pell program. This is a program that has been in play for a couple of years. We have submitted our proposal to Texas Department of Criminal Justice to become a Pell granting institution at the prison sites. It's currently under review. It is part of the substantive change that is going through SACS. I hope that once those two agencies give us a thumbs up, then we can apply for the big enchilada with the federal government. Okay, and hopefully that'll come within the next 6 months. And that is tremendous, phenomenal, in providing these inmates, again, the opportunity to get an education through the Pell Grant. Did I mention we need faculty? Ladies and gentlemen, there are people in there who want to be educated by you. Even with or without this Pell Grant, we have students waiting in line. And in some cases, they wait in line to no avail. Why? Because we do not have faculty to offer courses. They are there. Some of the things that I want to point out that we're working on, we've been very fortunate at CTC to have been awarded 3 Texas Reskilling and Upskilling through Education grant, the TRUE grant. The first one occurred about 3 years ago with Brazosport. We currently have 2 active ones. And I'm going to call this TRUE Grant 2, kind of like the movies, right? TRUE Grant 1, TRUE Grant 2, TRUE Grant 3, Terminator's back. TRUE Grant 2, it afforded us to purchase mobile units, learning systems, and a truck. How many of you have seen that red truck out there at the facilities? That is mine. Don't touch that. Y'all can use it, but you got to have permission. So we have 2 vans that I call mobile units with learning systems, virtual reality, We're gonna be putting education and training out into service areas regarding plumbing, electrical. Instead of the students coming to us, we're going to them. And we'll be aligning our programs with the academic programs. So it's hopefully a seamless transition as a student goes from the non-credit to the credit. True Grant 3, check this out. We were just informed early December. True Grant 2 was for $500,000. True Grant 3 is for $250,000. And this is a 3 bundle, it's already written. Oh my Lord. 3 bundled stackable non-credit programs that are based on face-to-face instruction, and it is to award the student certification within 6 months, CNA, CCMA, and pharmacy tech. I'm gonna go through this pretty fast. We also have a coding grant that's in the works for $99,000. And the way it's looking so far, it's looking great. This is to offer 9 one-week-long camps to accommodate middle schoolers in coding. We also just put forth an $890,000 adult education and literacy grant. We have been busy working with business and industry. We offer 4 TOT training. Students from the military come in and learn how to work on Ford vehicles. We have also partnered up with Kubota, having students come in and work on diesel engines. And we've partnered up with 2 main industries. One is Firefly Aerospace and Don Jane Semicam. We're looking forward to the process of working with these individuals, with collaboration with our deans, and with you. We are looking forward in creating these programs, courses within these programs, but we are not going to move forward unless we consult with the faculty who oversee the academic programs that are in relation to those CE courses. Looking ahead, through college-wide collaborative efforts, SAWI will assist the college in advancing toward mission, satisfaction, and vision attainment. Our goal in our division is to transform the status quo into a culture of adaptability, flexibility, and mobility. Our team is in this for the purpose of growing enrollments, enhancing current revenue streams, and to generate new ones. And this cannot happen unless we collaborate. Any questions? I guess I'm out of time, so. Thank you. Oh, sorry about that.
Good morning. I know I'm standing between you all in the coffee break, so I'm gonna make it short. I'm brief. So, I'm Jackie, and I oversee Fort Cavazos, Continental, and Navy operations. So I'm just gonna provide a brief overview and update of what we doing in those 3 areas. So when it comes to Fort Cavazos, I think you all know that we have 8-week classes, mini terms, and things of that nature. We also have classes that are 8 weeks and 12 weeks, and we also combine some of our degree programs along with some of the classroom courses. At Fort Cavazos, we only have 2 programs that are there. That's hospitality and general studies, but we also have the MOS program. For anyone who's not familiar with that, that is Troop School, MSC, and that program there for active duty military and provide military skills enhancement to help improve their job performance and technical education. When it comes to Continental, we have some sites that are still standing. We have Fort Moore in Georgia. We have Fort Knox in Kentucky, Fort Gregg, Adams in Virginia, Joint Base, Lewis McChord in Washington, Camp Pendleton in California, Fort Johnston in Louisiana, Fort Riley in Kansas, and Fort Novasol in Alabama. And throughout those locations that we have different programs that we offer. We do have hands-on programs. Like for example, Fort Riley, I just came from Fort Riley, we do have an automotive program as well as up in Fort Knox. And then at Camp Pendleton, we have the new program where we actually have instructors that provide material, and we actually teach Marines that are actually on Navy ships. So we try to make sure we take care of soldiers across the world all the time. Last but not least, when it comes to Navy operations, as Associate Dean said, no news is good news. We're still standing. The enrollments are double than what they were last year. And as everyone talked about before you this morning, change. When it comes to military, we always adapt to change. And when it comes to the continental sites, I appreciate all the department chairs that go above and beyond to help me and my team to assist us to make sure that we're doing what we need to do out there in the field to make sure we take care of our soldiers and civilians. When it comes to new programs, it's a little bit different when it comes to being out there in the field with Continental or Fort Cavazos because we're on military installations. And when it comes to that, we have to make sure we adhere to, of course, our chancellor, but of course we have to adhere to our ESO, which is the Education Services Officer. They have to do needs assessment. And they feel that we don't need that program out there, then we can't have that program out there. So we might be coming to you guys with new programs that we would like to offer out there at Continental. I know it might be a little tough because we're not here at Central Campus. Just know if I come pleading and knocking on your door, I need your help. We want to do everything, as I say, decent and in order. Because we'll make sure we follow the outlines and outcomes that are put forth before us. Again, I appreciate you all's help. We can't say thank you enough. Y'all are awesome. Thank you to the faculty for coming over and assisting us. Whenever I get on the phone and call the dean and say, look, I need an instructor. You all are awesome and come and help us. I look forward to working with you all this term, and I hope y'all have a great term.
All righty, we definitely made up some time there. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm your best friend and your worst enemy today, so just stick with me. We have a 10-minute coffee break, so we'll be back at 9:40. Please enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you back. Thank you all so much for coming back and just being such great participants today. I know it's a long day, so I hope you all got some stretches in and a little treat to get you through this next wonderful little section here. We have essential insights. We're at that portion of the day, starting with Mr. Matt Miles.
Is this working? Oh, yeah, it works. Yeah. All right. Morning, everybody. No slides this time, short and sweet. Just want to give you a little update on a program that we're going to pilot this spring. So we know traditional lecture, we know SVL, even though it's a really goofy name, synchronous virtual learning. I don't know why it's not like live streaming or something like that. But if you can imagine, if lecture and SVL had a baby, we're going to call it HyFlex, H-Y Flex. Okay, what does that mean? HyFlex is a class where on any given day in the same class setting, there are people present and potentially people live streaming all at once. A little bit more of a challenge for the instructor. We're going to pilot it and see how it goes. The math department has been doing it for a couple of years, so they're well versed. We have some new technology we're playing with. There's a webcam that I'm going to be, am I the first person to say the phrase AI yet today? I'm the first but not the last to say AI today. So we have these kooky little webcams. It looks like a little mini R2-D2 almost. It mounts on top of the monitor. It has AI. And it follows the instructor. It's motion sensitive. So, oh, thank you. Yeah. Ta-da. All right. As such, I think a couple of the breakout sessions will actually have them going. But in a motion sensitive, thank you. They will follow the instructor around. You can actually do hand signals to have it zoom in and out. L is one of the hand signals. I have no idea which one. I just know it does a thing. So you can get it to where it zooms in and out and does a bunch of things. So it's clearly not something you just pop out and be like, oh yeah, I'm a pro, I got this. It takes a little bit of practice. We're ironing out some kinks so that if we decide to go wider with it, that we can then train people appropriately. We've already figured out where the kinks lie and hopefully can learn to navigate through and around them. So that's what we're doing. We're going to pilot it in 3 different departments this semester. The math department is going to basically do what they have been doing, which is a little different than the rest of the group. They have these things called smart panels that they got through a grant some years back. It's like a 96-inch tablet, basically, and they can use that. It's like a humongous touchscreen computer, and they're going to live stream with that. The rest of us are going to use these little motion-sensitive cameras so that it can go with you, whatever your style is. You can share your screen, or you can have it follow you as you move about the room, as I am doing now. Right? So it gives you the flexibility to teach however it is you teach. That's the plan. So math is doing theirs. Science is piloting. Science is a little unique because they don't do virtual labs. So you can be in person or you can be remote. Option is only for the lecture portion, not for the lab portion. So that's a little strange. We realize that every department is different. So if we end up trying to adopt this in a broader scale, we would need to have a discussion. What might it look like for your department for it to be effective? We're not to that place yet. We're going to try it in a couple and see how it goes. And the other department is office technology. So we have 3 departments. We're going to play with it this time out and see how the technology goes. It's going to give this, so a student gets up on a Monday morning. They have a HyFlex class. They can choose whether they go to class in person or they stay home and live stream the class. Originally our thought was we would include an asynchronous option, but by talking with other institutions that have tried it, the participation tails way off and it just doesn't go well. So we're encouraging folks to participate either in person or virtually. Attendance is encouraged. So that's basically what we're going to do this semester.
I have 2 things. I think it's pretty cool because this past semester, KISD decided to have a break in October that we did not have. So a lot of parents
then you can still come to class. So I think that's awesome. Do you know how it was advertised to students? Like what the students were told about MyFlex? Well,
So,
because this is gonna help me build my announcement for me.
not a ton,
Okay.
because it's a small rollout, we were kind of letting it be a low-key event. There's a code in colleague, it's not an LEC course or an SVO course. HYFE, I think is the little code that they put it as. The Eagles On Call people, the advising people were all informed, and they're educating students as they're helping people enrolling to choose courses to enroll in. Marketing didn't really push it much because we thought it might muddy the water since it's only in a couple of sections. We thought that would be confusing to students, and so we didn't want to go with a big campaign to say, hey, we're all doing this now, because we're not all doing this now. It's just a couple of us playing with it now and seeing how it goes. So it's a little bit of a low-key rollout just to kind of see how it goes. We were kind of hoping that the departments might talk it up to their students a little bit. I know that the science people did. They're back that way somewhere. They're there. Hey, thanks.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Matt will be offering one in here. We're going to do a setup this afternoon. Dr. Foster and I are going to kind of mess around with the camera some to make sure it's going to operate the way we want it to. So if anyone kind of wants to stick around, I don't know what we're going to have and what time we'll be able to pull that off. That's one of the things we're discussing. But yeah, I personally kind of pitched it in classes, and that's how we got it together. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, in the science courses, they're doing it in courses that already had a prerequisite. So like Bio 1, they're going to do it in Bio 2. Anatomy and Physiology 1, they're going to do it in A&P 2. So they kind of already had the inside baseball with their students to kind of get the plan going with that. But that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to just give it a try, see what it looks like, see how it goes, see if students are interested in it, see if students are successful. It's nice. You wake up in the morning, you have a sick kid, you have a flat tire, you have a whatever, you can still participate in class. I have to travel for work. I can still participate in class. You have life happens, and it just gives you a little bit more flexibility. So we're going to give it a shot and see what it looks like, and then just take it from there. So that's basically what I got. If you have questions, you know how to reach me. Academic integrity things, just super briefly. If you ever have a question about any kind of situation with academic integrity, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to discuss policy or questions with forms or whatever you got going. Just want to say it once, that's all I got. Y'all have a fantastic semester. You don't hear it enough, but we really appreciate everything you do for our students. What you do is really what makes the college happen, and we're very thankful for all that you do. So y'all have a fantastic semester.
Good morning. I will be brief. I have 3 updates for you guys, pathways. We go in April and we go in November. So from November to April, we're working on credential maps and updating those. Me and Bobby have been working on some things and reaching out to departments, primarily department chairs, so that we can get your credential maps up to date. Essentially, a credential map is a quick look at your program. It includes program and industry information, salary information, and just some general information about your program to capture that interest. I'm working with Dr. Cruisley, disaggregating program enrollment and completion data. So we'll be doing some charts and graphs and stuff and disaggregating the data so that students and you all can see who's enrolling in your classes and who's completing your programs. And then we're going to put that information online at some point. We got an award from Texas Pathways. So we got an award for Pillar 1, which is mapping pathways to student end goals. And I would like to give this award to Ellen Falkenstein because she did a lot of work on that. And so essentially mapping pathways is updating degree plans to make sure that they're easy for students to read and updating them in student planning and doing a lot of work on aligning math with the programs, and Ellie did a lot of work doing that with the developmental math classes. So can you come get your star? I'll meet you halfway. Yeah. And the retention initiative, working on 2 One of them, I'm working with Karen Rudolph in marketing. We looked at some data and we saw that a lot of students applied to the college and said, I want to do general studies, but they actually never enrolled in classes. So we assumed that they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. So we came up with some postcards with our programs on there, and we're sending them out to those students so that we can get them information. Some of you guys have gotten emails from me. Oh, sorry. I ran up the steps like I'm fit and I'm out of breath now. Some of you have gotten emails from me that say 75% completion rate, primarily department chairs. So if you have students enrolled in your programs and they've completed at least 75% of their program, you should reach out to them and say, hey, you're almost at the finish line. What can I do to help you get across? Faculty colleague security class. I work with Stephen O'Donovan and he helped develop a faculty security class for colleague. So to get access, you'll complete the faculty colleague security access form online. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Good morning. The Early College High School, the Early College program STEM and dual credit had a combined total of 4,102 enrollments for fall 23 semester. 33% of those enrollments were online. We're projecting 4,367 enrollments for spring semester, with 30% of those enrollments online. In December, 2 of our high school students earned an associate's degree, and we had 3 high school students earn a certificate of completion in heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration. And we have 262 high school students on target to earn either an associate's degree or a certificate of completion in May. And then the final thing that I have for you is Tuesday, February 13. Is the first grade report date for the semester. Please make sure your ISD total column is set up. The ISD total column, it will need to be titled ISD total. If it's titled under any other name, unfortunately, the system will not recognize your column and your grades will not be included in the report. The column is case sensitive, so make sure that the ISD is capitalized, as well as the letter T for total. And that's all I have, and thank you.
I'm not on the program, so I just snuck in here. When I worked here, I tried not to come to in-service, and now that I don't work here, I'm super excited to be here. So thank you for having me. My name is Vicki Van Nest. I am the Executive Director of the Texas Community College Teachers Association as of September of this last year. So at the time that I applied for the job, I did not realize that I am only the 3rd executive director in the entire history of TCCTA. To put that into perspective, in 1948, TCCTA was founded, and in 1981, it became a nonprofit. I am the 3rd. So I'm a little overwhelmed. It's been an interesting couple of months, but more importantly, I just wanted to share some really awesome things that are going on with the association, some reasons why you should consider joining, and if you have joined, some reasons why you should consider coming to the convention. So really quickly, our goal is to support our educational professionals, so all of you. And we do that in 3 ways. We do it through resources, we do it through education, and we do it through advocacy. So resources, when you become a member, you get the opportunity to get some really good resources, some discounts, and there's an app for that. You can download your app and you can get, discounted rental cars and pet insurance. You never know, really. And then we also do offer liability insurance for educational professionals, something to consider. It's in addition to your membership, but it also protects you from adverse employment actions. And I mean, don't get me wrong, nothing ever is going to happen. Your students love you, your deans are amazing, everything's going to be fine. But you get car insurance because everything's going to be fine until it's not. So you might consider that. Again, you can go to our website, tccta.org, and you can see all the membership options. We also do that through education. So we've started a new program called Faculty First Fridays. It's on the first Friday of every month. It's online, so you just come to our website, tccta.org, click on the link, and it takes you to a big Zoom room where you can meet and interact with teachers from across the state and hear some really cool information. Bethany Winkler happened to do ours in December. So we start again in February. Please come and visit those. Those are completely free, whether you're a member or not. Just come and do that. The convention is fast approaching. It is February 29th through March 2nd. It's up in Frisco, Texas at the Embassy Suites, and it is bigger and better than ever. This year is just huge. So we would love to see everybody come. You do have to be a member, so in order to get the member price, so become a member for that. And finally, we do work through advocacy, which means that we support our education professionals at the state level. So when bills are going through, and we don't represent the college, we represent the teachers. So the colleges have their representation at the Capitol, but we represent you. So we're looking out for your interests. This last year, I'm sure you've heard SB 17, which was the DEI bill, and then HB 8, which was the funding bill. So both of those were very important legislation that came out of last year. You should know, just as a side note, SB 17, the DEI bill, did not affect how you teach classes. So your academic freedom is completely intact, and you are able to continue to teach and talk about in class the things that you had done before. So it really more applied to the schools. So we are bridging and moving forward. TCCTA is constantly changing and evolving. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any ideas, anything you need from us, we represent you. Please email me. If you go to our website, there's a contact link. There's a really bad picture of me, and there's a way to get in touch with me. Feel free to avoid the picture and go directly to the email. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for this time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucette Brett. I am the Associate Dean for Financial Aid and Veteran Services, thus the green shirt, the color of money. So I do have some slides because I was an educator once, and I know that the more modalities I hit, the more likely you are to remember what I'm telling you right now instead of just talking at you. So hopefully we can get there. That's me. If you need to contact me, come see me. I'm happy to help you. For financial aid, I know some of you who've been here before have heard this over and over and over again. Please take attendance. It is vital. We do have a lot of issues sometimes where we have to return funds back to the Department of Ed, and that creates a lot of distress on the students because we get at the end of the term, it's reported that they have been in non-attendance the whole time. So I'm not sure how cert rolls work in this instance and all of that, but please stay on top of that. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay. The really cool thing is we have a new FAFSA coming out. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's been decades before they've really updated it. It's a new format. They released it while we were on break. Surprise! And they've done their soft opening. So normally the FAFSA opens in October, and we're already rocking and rolling for getting the students ready for the next academic year. We're anticipating pulling things in February, but not actually importing until March. The new thing about the FAFSA is for this academic year, the 23-24 year, they had the option to use the IRS data retrieval tool or not to provide their income. That is no longer an option. Big Brother is watching, and they are going to pull that information directly from the IRS from this point forward. For Veteran Services, Vicki Putzer is our coordinator. She hasn't been in there quite a year. We have implemented a lot of new processes for our veterans, and we are noticing a few issues too with the attendance on there, and I'm going to hit that in just a moment. Very briefly, If you have veterans in your classes and they know they're eligible for the benefit, they still have to apply through the VA. Please encourage them to do so. We also, once they apply with the VA, they're not done. They have to come to us, let us know who they are, what classes they're taking, and then we certify that through the VA. All of this is actually online at ctcd.edu. We try to make everything as easy as possible for anyone. If they have questions, they can come see us. We will walk them through that in the office, or we'll do it over the phone for them. If you have some that are veterans and they entered in the state of Texas, or Texas was home of residence, they are also eligible for Hazelwood. And a lot of people don't realize that they have those options as well. Enrollment manager was something that was still pretty new for us. Even if they don't have the piece of paper that says certificate of eligibility, we can go into the VA system, take a peek, and see if they are eligible and help them with that. Tips for the success of our students. Again, take attendance and verify cert rolls. Please, please, please do this. And another one that Ms. Ellen was always very helpful with us is that the developmental courses that we have, they have to be face-to-face in order for them to receive veteran benefits. So if you teach developmental classes and you suspect that they are a veteran or using veteran benefits and they're in a distance learning class, please make sure you mention that to them. There are many who will go ahead and pay out of pockets because they don't want to come in, but the VA will not cover that cost. We are almost fully staffed in veteran services, and up to today, we were doing same-day applications, which is unprecedented here. I see a couple hands. Yes, ma'am.
Question on the Hazelwood. I know it said they have entry in Texas. Do they have to also get out of Texas, or just
No.
in?
Just entered. On their DD-214, it has the entry place and the home of record. Was there another hand? Same question? Okay. Everybody is more than willing to assist. Please give us a call if you need help. The other issue is that we have been working closely, that's going to be the next question, with keeping students in class and not getting dropped. And I know you hear that a lot, drop for non-payment, drop for non-payment. So if you have access to your students now and you can send messages, I have a huge list of students that are this close to being dropped for non-payment. So if every time you start a class and have access to them, remind them you have to pay for it, whether they're financial aid or veteran or not. If they don't pay for the class, they're going to get dropped. So I just want to encourage you guys to do that. Any other questions? Oh, yes, ma'am.
So when you say that the veteran will get dropped if they don't pay for the class, is that they have to pay for the class before their benefits come in? Or do we wait for the benefits to come in before they're dropped? That's a little confusing.
That's a great question, and it's one of those, it depends. So there's multiple chapters. Some chapters, the VA will pay up front and we can go ahead and take care of that. Other chapters, the money comes directly to the student and it's their responsibility. The catch-22 of that is that, the VA, it's a federal agency, takes them about 30 to 45 days to get the check. At that point, we're past census and the student still hasn't paid. So I'm working diligently on new policy to make sure that the students are staying in classes. Sometimes we're able to do an emergency student loan or the foundation. That was another thing. The foundation is open right now for the scholarships. Shameless
Can I
plug.
continue on this question? Is this student policy for the college to meet the federal demands that the VA is saying, or are we trying to work with the VA to change their processing? I'm just trying to understand. We've had situations like that in our program where they've been dropped when their finances did not come in and they were supposed to be on financial aid through either a Pell Grant or Veterans Services. And since there is so much emphasis now on trying to be sure the student continues with the program, how are we as a college coming together to be sure that they're not being dropped based on something?
I have developed a code that we put in so that they are not dropped. But again, sometimes that's still census state. I am working on policy for veteran services to avoid that on down the line. Federal statutes and regulations since 2018, it's twofold. So the federal government will send down some legislation, then the Texas Veterans Commission will also update their policies. We do have a deferment that is available through the Texas Veterans Commission. And deferments were set up because so many schools were dropping students and the VA wanted to ensure that they were not. So we have different things in place. And at this point, we're trying to ensure that CTC policy coincides with state and federal regulations. I do go to TACVPO, which is my version of a conference for veteran certifying officials in February. So I'll come back and we'll be meeting with everyone to see how we can make it better for our students and keep them in classes. Great question.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. My name is Scott Lorenz. I'm with Protective Services, and I'm part of the AI committee. Forward here. Did I go forward there? Okay. So here's the people who volunteered to be on the committee. Okay, there we go. So we've got some pretty unique backgrounds here. All of us spent probably the past year or so doing quite a bit of work around or with AI and some research on AI. And so specifically what we were looking at doing is addressing how we deal with students using AI and how we as a faculty can use AI as well. So we have a AI policy statement that we've generated, that's going to be a blanket statement on everything. Using artificial intelligence, AI, and generative AI tools without instructor approval violates the CTC academic integrity policy. So that's going to be the blanket statement. That doesn't mean that it can't be used, which I'll go into further here, but that's going to be the blanket default statement. So we've come up with different levels of usage and some faculty guidance on this, but the different levels of usage that you're going to be able to choose from. And again, any faculty member is going to be able to pick how and when and where they want to use AI. But this statement here would prohibit its use in class at all. So you're basically telling students here that it can't be used at all for any purpose. Okay. So for those of the faculty that are not comfortable with using AI or allowing their students to use AI, they can pick a policy like this where they don't have to use it at all, and they can forbid its use. Guided use of generative AI tools like ChatGPT, DALL-E, Midjourney is guided by the instructor. So again, the instructor can allow their students to use it by whatever policy or whatever method they want, whatever they feel comfortable with in that case. And then permitted. So again, I can't imagine an anything goes policy regarding AI in any class, but permitted use, this is kind of the language that we would use for if it's permitted, but I still think it would probably need some guidance from the instructor on how you could use it, things like that. But those are kind of the three levels of usage that we're looking at to help faculty choose what they want to involve or how they want to involve their class with AI. So syllabus verbiage, we're looking at doing, getting something consistent or for faculty to choose from if they're not comfortable with writing the policy themselves, just kind of a template to go off of. So using artificial intelligence, AI, or generative AI tools with instructor approval violates CTC academic integrity policy. The use of AI tools such as ChatGPT to complete any course submission is not permissible unless specifically allowed by your instructor. And then you've got the instructor approved usage there. Use of AI tools on any assignment will require usage transparency. Transparency is obtained by clearly marking AI output. And this is where you can instruct your students to source their AI appropriately. APA, the style book now has a way where you can source AI so that you can use it appropriately. That includes using the prompts and things like that. So if you want to allow your students to use AI and use it properly, there's a style format for that. So what else would we put in the syllabus? Please be aware that material generated by these programs may be inaccurate, incomplete, or otherwise insignificant. Use your best judgment when including it in your work. Any plagiarism or other cheating will be addressed using the CTC academic integrity policy. So, probably what most people are the most interested in is AI detection tools. So to talk about how those tools work a little bit, first of all, there's nothing forensically going on with those AI detection tools. In other words, there's no metadata, there's no scientific measurement that accurately looks at some text and says this is AI. It's an estimate, it's a guess made based on word probability and things like that. So it's not like a fingerprint or a DNA test. So false negatives occur when the AI detection tool fails to detect AI submitted by the student. False positives occur when the AI detection tool falsely labels human writing as AI. In other words, accusing a student of cheating when they haven't, right? And that's what we want to avoid. And that's what most universities are struggling with right now. So there's currently no AI detection tool available that can accurately detect the use of AI by students. CTC faculty may not rely on any AI detection tools to justify disciplinary action against any student. AI detection tools should be used as a starting point to alert faculty to the possibility of AI usage by the student. OpenAI, that's the developer of ChatGPT, has removed their AI detection tool. And basically what they've said is we can't detect our own AI. So that should be a warning for you. If the developer of ChatGPT can't detect their own AI, that should tell you something about these detection tools and how they work. Universities using AI tools through services like Turnitin have drafted policies forbidding faculty from using these tools due to inaccuracies. So first of all, any questions on any of that at all?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Even search engines are using AI, IDB, for example. And how do you reinforce any policy when, as we can see, even AI detection tools cannot detect AI?
Right. So, look, I don't think this is anything different than what we've encountered in the past regarding challenges to cheating. Just like with plagiarism, we can have a plagiarism policy. It doesn't mean we're going to catch everybody that plagiarizes, right? And so we can draft a policy, we can forbid the use of AI tools, but the idea that we're going to be able to catch it or detect it all, it's impossible. So we do the best we can with what we have. What we want to avoid specifically is falsely accusing someone of using AI when they haven't. And that's the danger of using these tools just at face value with no other evidence at all, right? And so other colleges are finding that out the hard way. Turnitin, on their site, they acknowledge a 1% failure rate, a false positive rate. And so Vanderbilt University did some math on that, and they said, okay, if we have 75,000 papers that are turned in, we're going to accuse 750 students or 750 papers of cheating, right? So 99% accuracy seems like a good advertisement for these types of tools, but it's still too much when you're talking about accusing someone or just throwing them out of college or at the worst case scenario based on what a software says. Software that's inaccurate and they could be wrong. That's not even counting the false negatives. The software doesn't always detect when people are using AI, right? And so it's just not accurate enough for us to use as a policy and too dangerous. So you can use it as a tool, use it as a first alert, a warning, right? But then after that, you're gonna have to have some other evidence before you act on, take disciplinary action against the student.
What's wrong about using AI? That was really wasn't my purpose.
Beg your pardon?
What is wrong for the students to be using AI?
Well, so the difference between AI and generative AI, generative AI is something that you could use to generate an entire assignment without any student thought at all. Write a paragraph on probable cause. I teach protective services. You can go into ChatGPT and it'll do it for you. The student has done no work and learns nothing from that. So just using generative AI by itself is cheating, right? So we're talking about two different things. Yes, it's cheating. Yes, it's dishonest. But can we catch it? And do we have a tool to catch it accurately? And the answer to that right now is no, right? Somebody had a question over here? Anyone?
Will you be sharing the verbiage for the syllabus?
Yes, we're going to get that out to everybody. And also keep in mind that this is a work in progress and it's going to change probably month by month because we're talking about something that is just so innovative. It changes. I did some research about a year ago where I tested 10 AI detectors and wrote a paper on it. And that has changed so much since I did that. It's unbelievable. So this policy is going to change. It's going to have to change. But right now we have no accurate, effective tool that's going to, without you doing some work, be able to detect students using AI. Enough where you can take disciplinary action on it. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, we've got another little 10-minute break. So take this time and we'll come back with Mr. Clayton Chance Herberling with more information on AI. So this conversation will continue. He's got some really interesting points of view. So I hope you come back ready to learn some stuff. Enjoy your break. really, really interesting conversation about AI and incorporating it and having those conversations in the classroom. And then we have a lovely taco bar provided to us. So just hold in there and we'll get some really, really good lunch. One thing really, really quickly. I want to thank Jose Ledesma. He's our multimedia gentleman here today. He figured out how to make the sound happen and the PowerPoints, and he's working so hard. He's brand new here with us, and this is his first presentation by himself, and so he is just knocking it out of the park. So if you see him around, just give him a thumbs up and a big thank you for all of his hard work. Thank you so much for everything. We really appreciate it. I don't envy you. Technology is the one thing to make my head just explode. So thank you so much. So without further ado, here we have Mr. Clayton Chance Herberling.
Okay, thank you. As you already heard, this is on AI. I know there are going to be some people out here who are very open-minded towards it, and there are going to be some folks here that are really hesitant about how to use it or even letting students use it. As Scott indicated, I'm on the committee that is helping to formulate the policy that we're going to be using here at CTC. And throughout my presentation, I will address in a little bit more detail and give you some observations on how AI detectors work. And I want to give you a little strategy that I've developed where you can focus not on did the student use the AI to generate the paper, but use AI to focus on academic integrity and how the paper was structured, not on what was used to structure it. Because again, you're going to learn AI is fallible, and there are caveats to using it. So let me get started. There's people I want to thank. First, of course, Melissa Gonzalez and Veronica Martin, William Lorenz, Eric Keaton, Catherine Oster, Matt Lyles, and my department chair, Brian Royster, sorry. But most of all, I want to thank Tammy Phillips. Tammy Phillips and I, when I first moved back to Texas in '99 and went to work in Palo Alto, Tammy Phillips was in the English department at Palo Alto. And she had enough, when the position for ESOL came open, I applied on a fluke. And didn't even know Tammy was connected here. But Tammy had enough confidence and faith in my abilities and my background that she gave me this opportunity to be here, which has led to being here. So I really do thank Tammy for this broader opportunity to be here with you guys today. So first off, a couple of things. The media has built up this big hype, this myth about AI. It's going to take over the world. It's going to do, our visions of AI is HAL, 2001 Space Odyssey, Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Please put that completely and totally out of your mind. It's not like that at all. We're not even close to a HAL yet. They're estimating that by maybe 2028, we may see something very similar or very much akin to what's called artificial general intelligence, which is that next level, more intuitive, and it will, they say, be more able to work on its own with very little human input. But that's still quite a ways off. My focus, human AI interface. It needs to be a human involved in this process in order for AI to work. There's been a lot of talk here this morning about change and innovation. The things that we have to do to meet the criteria for moving through the certification process for the state, federal government, VA, all of those things. AI is about that change and adaptation. And if we know how to use it and use it properly, it's going to make a big difference in how you do your jobs, how you work with students, how you interact with the curriculum, how you design the curriculum. Now, because CTC, we say it's a community college. Just because CTC is a community college does not mean that we can't be at the forefront. We can be the tip of the spear in this, because we prepare students not just for going up to the next level in post-secondary education, but we're preparing students for careers and for the future. And ladies and gentlemen, AI is the future. You would be amazed if you took the time to see how many different ways that AI is being leveraged and used in the workplace. We need to prepare our students, make them comfortable, understand three things. These are the three things that my presentation today is built on. It's like a three-legged stool. First off, critical thinking. AI can get critical thinking. AI can improve. You can use it to help students improve their critical thinking skills. Creativity. AI, when interfaced with human input, can create, and you'll see some interesting images up here that I created with the help of AI. And last, but most importantly, and this is the thing that's on everybody's mind in education, ethically use it. Scott talked about citations. We need to teach them. If you're going to use AI, you need to cite it in the same way that if you go to a library, check out a book for research or read a journal, you have to cite that source. We need to teach them and make them comfortable with citing AI in the same way. Now, because of time constraints, I'll try to move through this as quickly as possible. I'll have points in here where I'll ask you some questions to get your feedback on some things. But there was a QR code up here. I'm going to go back real quick. Okay. So this is Nearpod. I'm a public school teacher. So Nearpod was in my classroom quite a bit. Tested it last night. It all worked. It opened up. I'm hoping it works for you. But we know technology. No matter how well you plan these things, in the first 5 minutes, it all goes under. There is a code that you'll more than likely have to put in. If it asks for it, it's this R3KSM, all uppercase letters. And then the other QR code, that's my contact information. So scan those two codes real quickly. So a little background with my experience with Nets. There's a change in this. So first off, I'm not a coder. I just enrolled in a full stack Python programming because I wanted to get a better understanding of how the process works. Yes, I used AI to do this. I used AI for several different parts of it. I've used GPT 3.5, 4, Bard, Bing. I've used Midjourney, DALL-E 2. I've used Claude AI. I've integrated all of these tools together to help me organize, brainstorm, create what you're going to see up here today. This is meant to be a pragmatic approach and examination to this issue. I realize there are people, and there are going to be faculty here that are going to adhere to the, you cannot use AI at all. I don't want you using AI for anything. I want to kind of put this out there for you right away. I think this is cycling through itself. I told you, it doesn't matter what happens, it doesn't.
I swear I'm not doing it.
So, to coin a phrase from Star Trek and the Borg, now in Star Trek, resistance was not futile.
You know, we don't have Jonathan Frakes or Jean-Luc Picard here to do this. I'm going to tell you that when it comes to AI in education, resistance is futile, ladies and gentlemen. You are not, just simply by saying you can't use it in my class, you are not going to be able to stop students from using it. They are going to use it. I assume everybody in here has kids. Fastest way to get a kid to do something, tell them don't do it. I've raised 6 kids and probably about 4,000 students over my 35 years as a school teacher. That is the one fast truth about kids. Tell them they can't do it, I guarantee you they're going to do it. Now, my journey with OpenAI started in February of last year. I was just simply playing. I heard about GPT 3.5, got on, and I put in my dissertation literature review. And I asked GPT just simply, how could I improve this literature review? How can I make it better? And it generated, thank you. It generated, this is new, by the way, this is new for me. I've done presentations at schools and stuff, but this is a whole new ballgame. It generated a good list of citations, but there were a couple of citations that, you know, sometimes you look at something and you just go, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. So I went back to the old standby, Google Scholar, copied the citation, pasted it in Google Scholar. Google Scholar comes back, and all I get are these pages where I'm seeing the individual words from the citation, not together as a complete citation. So what happened? Hallucination. This is what we call when ChatGPT gives you incorrect information. It's referred to as an hallucination. Copied, pasted it back in GPT 3.5, said simply, this citation does not exist. For the first time in my life, a computer apologized to me for making a mistake. I am sorry for my error, how can I fix it, was the kind of the general response. And I just sat there for like 5 minutes, shaking my head. This is a prime example of why people think AI, generative AI, is so human-like. But it's only that way because the tools that it was trained with and its training model, it's built in there to where when an error is pointed out to it, it simply apologizes. And personally, I think whoever the programmer was that set that up, he did that with a little bit of sarcasm in mind. It's like, hey, I'm a computer. What do you mean you're telling me I was wrong? But I'm going to apologize anyway for it. In March, and this is a copy of the email, Generative AI asked me to be on their open preview team, which was in and of itself quite astounding because, again, I have no programming background. But what they told me was that because the prompts and the variety of information I was asking ChatGPT to provide for me was so eclectic that it was challenging some of their models. And so they asked me to come on the Slack private preview team and work with the software engineers and developers on there and share my experiences as a user at an academic level, at a research level, to help them improve the coding and the input so that what chat provides back to the user is a little more accurate. I still work with them on the Slack private preview team. It's currently been upgraded one, and I still provide input on a very regular basis to them because it still makes errors. It's getting better, but it's still making errors. So again, like it or not, this is the future of your classroom. And so resistance is indeed futile. So, question. I think Scott kind of touched on this. What is generative AI? So anybody want to take a shot? How would you define generative AI? Thank you. Now this is the typical, this is kind of the general definition. Now this is the way it works. Generative AI creates content by searching for patterns and structures in the training data, and it does not replicate, but it rather employs previously learned principles to produce novel outcomes. Now, while generative AI models such as GPT can recognize and replicate emotional expression patterns in text, their comprehension of human emotions falls way short of human empathy. But rather what it does instead of genuine emotional comprehension, it bases it on statistical correlations. The result is, if you ask it to write a love story or you ask it to write a love poem, you're going to get a generation that is wordy, and the adjectives you're looking at, you'd say, Elizabeth Barrett Browning wouldn't go anywhere near this. It really gets over wordy, and the language is just way too flowery. So there is a language generation problem, especially if you're asking it to do something where there's an emotional context that's involved. Now, understanding there are legitimate concerns that the misuse of AI is going to jeopardize academic integrity. I get that. And this is why, again, CTC is, we're taking this time to develop a thoughtful policy that includes ethical guidance for you and encouraging innovation rather than simply saying prohibited. I know it's an option, but again, I go back to, you can tell them not to, but it's still going to happen. You have to be ready for that. Now, with balanced guidance from instructors and a well thought out and implemented policy, we can contribute as a group to developing an innovative and accountable and ethical pathways to help students use AI to be creative and more critical in the work that they generate for us. So the trick is to strike that balance between maintaining academic integrity and promoting creative possibilities. So question, how in your mind, what are some ideas that you have in your mind, and you can put these on your pod if you were able to, hope everybody was able to log in, or you can send me an email with them, or if you have them here. How would you balance the ethical concerns about misuse with the potential for innovation? How would you in your classroom, if you're going to be one of those instructors that is maybe going to allow it to some degree, think about how you're going to approach that. How would you handle it? Any ideas? Or is it still all too new? If it's all still too new, raise your hand. Pretty much everybody in the room should, I think, should have the hand up. It is. It's all new. And I've been working with it almost every single day for the last year. And I'm still learning the caveats that are involved with it. So understanding these ethical. Now, the history teacher in me, I'm going to move ahead on this. So here are the ethical considerations that we have to take into account. Plagiarism, originality verification, impact on critical thinking, addressing educational inequality, inequity. AI can really help, AI can begin to help us with balancing some of the inequities that are in education, if it's used right. Now some historical background. Now the history teacher in me, there we go. Now the history teacher in me likes timelines. I know timelines are as old as chalkboards, but humor me. That's still that part of me. I still have a little bit of that old school in me. Now what I did was I took this image, GPT-4, you can actually place images in GPT-4. You can prompt GPT-4 to analyze the image. And I'll talk about prompts later, but it's all about the prompt. And what I did was I asked it to identify the 5 most significant events based on 3 criteria. How much they demonstrated major improvements in AI abilities, the influence on driving additional AI research and progress, and their effect on public views and the uptake of AI policies. And GPT chose the following. 1950, the Turing test. 1956, the term artificial intelligence is officially coined. 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov, the world chess champion. In 2011, Watson, IBM again, defeated the Jeopardy champions. And in 2020, GPT-3 makes its appearance onto the stage. So I agreed with everything except one, and I'm going to get to that in just. So in the context, Alan Turing, codebreaker, the Enigma machine, Bletchley Park in England. He is considered the father of AI. And in 1956, John McCarthy at Dartmouth University, for the first time, we coined the term artificial intelligence, bringing under one umbrella multiple disciplines to make this, to start to design that concept. Now, I was good with Deep Blue, and I was good with the Jeopardy. However, it left out one event. The event it left out was AlphaGo's World Championship, developed by Google's DeepMind. The outcome of the AlphaGo was that it won 4 out of 5 games. Now, the significance of this is that it demonstrated that deep learning reinforcement could achieve, it demonstrated that computers could achieve intuitive thinking. Now, what you have to know about Go, you've probably seen this game. Large board, it's played with black stones and white stones. It's kind of the Chinese version of chess, only the intricacies involved in this are phenomenal. It's estimated that the number of possible moves in Go exceed the number of atoms in the visible universe. Now think about that. This computer, Deep Blue, AlphaGo, was able to defeat the world Go champions 4 out of 5 times. This demonstrates that the computers at this point were beginning to grasp, or beginning to be able to work with intuition, human problem solving on a level. Kasparov was beat because the number of moves on a chessboard are limited and it could be calculated. It was not easily done at the time, but they can be calculated. Currently, there is no way to calculate. Computers are just haven't reached a point where they can calculate the number of possible moves to counter. So this, for me, is the best example of how I looked at what GPT gave me, and I disagreed with it. I did a little more reading. So in my mind, I went, no, I'm going to put this in because this is more relevant than the other 2 events put together. The other 2 events, some good background. The real event here is when it was able to reach this level of intuitiveness where it could actually beat world champion players 4 out of 5 times. So fast forward. Now, AI has infiltrated the modern fabric of our lives in a very subtle way. And without fanfare, it optimizes and automates the tasks that we do, it simplifies chores, and these personalized efficiencies have become a necessity in our life. AI is now inextricably linked to everyday life to the point where revolutionary change has crept through the back door as personalized assistants that master the mundane tasks that we take for granted. Now, what you're looking at here, and when we're talking about ChatGPT, how many of you know what a plugin is? Plugins, use them, put them in your Google. Probably one of the most often ones that I hear about people using is the Capital One plugin. You put Capital One in, if you have the plugin on your Chrome or your Google, and you go to Amazon, If Capital One can identify another website, another online shopping, another store somewhere that has a better deal, it will actually show you that and allow you to compare what Amazon says their price is with other alternatives. That's what a plugin does. OpenAI has brought in the software engineers to create plugins that allows AI to leverage AI. So using it, when they first started in October, there were 5 pages of plugins, just 5. Here we are, January, 130 pages with 8 plugins per page that can do everything from text analysis. It's even suggested it can do statistical analysis. I haven't got that far yet, but that's what these plugins, when they're put in with GPT-4, the number of things that you can do with this just becomes phenomenal. So generative AI. And I wish it would stop doing that. So Google Bard, these are all AI tools. And I've used probably everything on here at least a few times, with the exception of Chinchilla and DialoChat GPT. I haven't used those yet. I haven't been introduced to them. On the creativity side, and this is what's really cool, the images that you're seeing in my presentation, I use Midjourney and DALL-E to create. And I'll talk about the prompts and how they were created, because again, the idea is, again, everybody thinks that AI is, can do it all on its own. It can't. It's got to have that human interface. So deliberate integration, what does this mean for you guys? So you can create instruction using AI. I've played with course development. I've played with analyzing courses. I found that AI is extremely useful in taking, if you've written curriculum, if you have any experience doing that, you know that one of the most important things in writing curriculum is that you have your course objectives, you have your aims and your goals, and then you have the unit, module objectives and goals. And then you have the lessons. One of the most difficult and time-consuming jobs, and one of my masters is in curriculum and instruction development. The most time-consuming part of doing curriculum, if you're writing a syllabus or anything, is making sure that everything aligns. And also the level of thinking that's involved in it. So it can help you create instruction that's more engaging, and it can introduce new perspectives to a depth that is much easier for you to handle. And again, part of this is, if you don't know what you're doing, by the way, if you don't know the topic that you're working with, this is where you're going to get fooled by the hallucinations. People think that ask it a question is going to give me the answer is correct. No, it's not, as I illustrated at the very beginning of this. You have to know your course. You have to know your content to know that what you're getting does make sense and does work. So again, one of the most important things it can help you with is aligning your goals, aligning your objectives in it. Now we have to recognize the limitations: accuracy, student dependency risks, and this overall reliance on AI for problem solving and creativity. Again, students have to be made aware that it's not the catch-all. It's not going to take care of everything for you. And you have to keep pace. We have to keep pace with the changing technologies. So in designing activities, you have to carefully grow the understanding. You have to get students questioning the tools more deeply. You have to look for the biases and the effects. You have to work together with guidelines where ethics matter. Ethics has to be the #1 thing on your list. And then I would go with creativity or critical thinking. And then after that, the creativity factor. Again, this is one of the prompts I generated using Midjourney. Okay. So encouraging creativity. We're always talking about writing. And again, being an ESL teacher and working with the communications part in developmental writing, this is a big part of it. Now, again, students can develop AI writing. They can help this. And I teach, when I work with other students online at other universities, and I also work with foreign students who are doing graduate programs. And they have to write their papers and they have to work in English. And I help them with AI, generative AI, to brainstorm, to take the paper apart, look for structures, syntax, look at the vocabulary, the lexical resources that they're using, and does what they're writing make sense? Is there a fluidity, is there a coherency, a fluency and coherency in what they're writing? AI can help do those things. Now again, if you just simply put in, as Scott mentioned, write a research paper on ABCD, yeah, it'll generate it. But I guarantee you that what it generates, if that's the kind of prompt that you use, is not going to be worth anything. It's going to be filled with hallucinations. There are going to be grammatical. Believe it or not, chat makes syntax and grammatical errors. It does do that. If it can make syntax errors, imagine all the other errors that it can make if you don't pay attention to it. Now, for the art department, and real quickly, I'm going to apologize to the math department because I don't have anything good for math. Okay? So I'm going to apologize up front because I'm still working with math. One of the things that I've discovered in working with the developers and with other people is that while it can explain concepts relatively well, I can give you an explanation of how a concept works. If you actually put equations into it, it doesn't always do the equations correctly. It makes mistakes in the calculations still. So there are still some problems with it when it comes to math. And I would certainly love to work with the math department to see how we can, get ideas on how that can be addressed at the developers level and looking at how it's used. And you're doing a lot of innovative things in the math department, I heard this morning. Include AI in this. Look at where AI can help you leverage some of those. So in a digital art class, for example, this is Lee Chen's. This picture is based on a prompt I wrote, and I asked it to use Lee Chen style. If you are theater, this can be very useful in theater because it can help you analyze scripts. It can help you identify character arcs. It can help you prepare actors for how your acting students, how should I approach this character? What do I need to look for in how this character is going to interact with other characters? You look at the scripts. How can the script be, or are improvements that can be done in the script? Now on the creative level, tale of two prompts. Now here's what I'm going to talk to you about prompts very quickly. This is the prompt that I used. Image, mountain, wilderness, river, black ink on white paper in the style of artist Lee Chen. Now, in this case, one of the things that I have to be absolutely clear about, I do not have an artistic bone in my body. I can't draw stick people with character. However, what I do possess is, I like to believe, a rich vocabulary and an innate ability to express that character, my ideas, my content, my thoughts. So in generating a prompt, and this is where it comes to what the output. Again, it used to be in the old computer adage, garbage in, garbage out. Everybody heard that? You put the wrong stuff in, you're going to get the wrong stuff back. This is especially true when it comes to generative AI. So it's really all about the prompt and that process of using intuitive thinking skills, critical thinking, creativity. It's all about in that design and how you process the information initially. And then how you place that into a prompt. And again, OpenAI, one of the things that they did, and I bless them for it, they taught me how, they certified me as a prompt engineer. I've taken their prompt engineering course, and I've also taken through the online courses that MIT and Stanford offer in prompt engineering. So I've had a lot of experience with how to craft them, and I know that it's not easy to do. You can't just type anything in and then end up with a quality piece of work afterwards. So prompt strategies in creating one of a kind prompt. Here's the next one. Now, to generate that prompt, or to generate this image, it was on 32. That is what it took to generate that prompt. And that is my 16th iteration. An iteration in prompting is that you write your initial prompt, you look at the output, and again, critical thinking, creative thinking. You look at the response, and you go, no, that's not quite what I wanted. I need to. You reiterate the prompt. You add words, take words out, shift where the words are in the sentence, in your prompt. And you keep doing that until you end up with what it is that you want. In this case, I was looking for that unique image that in my mind, even though I could never draw this in a billion years, I mean, even if you implanted an AI chip in my brain, that'd probably be about the closest way I could ever get to doing that. But because of my ability to work with language, I was able to express the image that I wanted based on that language. We can teach students how to use their own brain, what they already know, to be creative. Not as a threat to not as a threat, not as a here we're going to turn you loose and expect them to give us quality stuff. No, it takes effort. It takes time to do that. So encouraging creativity across disciplines. This is important. I am a humanities background. So when I taught in public schools, I brought in art, literature, sciences. I brought in math to my classes to give students that ability to see how all of these things are interconnected in our daily lives and the decisions that people make. AI gives you that opportunity to more coherently, more quickly, more effectively help your students in integrating across disciplines. You know, if you're in the literature department here, work with the history department and see what's being covered in the history department and what they're covering, because undoubtedly one of your literature students is probably taking a history course with somebody else. Here's where using AI to leverage that interdisciplinary cooperation is going to be not only in your best benefit, but it's also going to increase the opportunities that students are going to have. Also, for history teachers, historical data interpretation. Artificial intelligence can take all of that huge stockpiles of data. They can take that data, analyze it, and help students understand some of the complexities and nuances of everything from cultural to technological innovations and how all of those things are integrated and how they impact a specific event or a series of events. Now imagine how long it would take you in a history class to do that. But a student who knows how to ask the questions right, knows how to use the knowledge that you've already given them in the class to do this, they can take a paper they can take that research and boil it down. For example, if you go to Google and you ask Google, you put in War of 1812. What you're going to get from Google is a page of output. And you've got then you've got to go through Google and you got to look at that. You have to decide. And I'm going to tell you a little secret about Google if you don't already know it. There's a process called search engine optimization. Google uses it. And what that simply means is that the developers, they take a look at the way that the web page, the most visited web pages, they look at the language on those pages and how that language is structured. And they say, okay, this website is really successful. It gets a lot of hits. And that's important because if that website gets a lot of hits, advertisers are going to go to that website. They're going to place their ads in there. And if they place their ads on there and you start clicking on them, that also increases the search engine optimization. So by understanding that process, you go to Bard or Bing. Bing is even better. I like Bing. Because for a while, 3.4, Chat 4 could not surf the web for a period of time. So when it would generate stuff, I wanted to verify if the citation was correct. So what I would do is take the citation, then go to Bing, put the citation in Bing in a simple prompt. Verify the authenticity of this citation. And boom, it would tell me, yes, it does exist. And the great thing about Bing, for those of you, it gives you the link. You just click on it and it will take you to the website where it found that information. So your students have ready access. They know beyond the shadow of a doubt this is a valid source, that it's not an hallucination. So this again an example of where initial inquiry, GPT-4, wanted to make double sure it wasn't hallucinating, took that output, put it in Bing, asked Bing to verify the existence. I probably saved an hour of search time on the internet doing that. Ethical considerations. Now we've got to consider these ethical threads might unravel. Again, there are going to be students who are going to genuinely want to try and use it the way I'm suggesting it be used. They're going to find it's exciting and it's going to open up new doors for them. But then I have to admit, I'm a procrastinator to a degree. Sometimes I work a little better under pressure, a little bit better under pressure. Like for example, originally, I was only supposed to do a breakout session. About 2 days, 3 days before winter break, I get an email. We want you to do this session. Oh my God. If GPT had not been here, I wouldn't be here now. But even with GPT Bar, even with all of those, it still took me all winter break to get to the product that you're looking at, to see what's in here. And that's about an average of 6 hours a day doing the research, doing the iterating, the writing, the rewriting, going back and doing re-verification of facts, looking at how I'm structuring the information on there. Without the AI, we might be doing this in June, if we're lucky, because that's how much time it would have taken to do all of the research and all of the work to put this together. And again, throughout this, now I'm going to, one of the things that we've done is that I've been blessed with a shell that was created for me to put material in for you guys. And I'll be using that shell to put all of my resources, from prompt engineering ideas to this presentation here and some of the other presentations I've done in other situations. So you can look and see how this works and how you can leverage it to make your job a little bit easier. So academic integrity. It raises these issues of authenticity, realistic versus fake. And I did make, this is a little bit different than the final one I worked on last night because I found things that I really didn't quite like. The use of AI text generators to complete assignments questions the originality. And again, if the student just simply says, write a research paper on the War of 1812, yep, you got them. Okay, no originality there. But if they went through and did the iteration process the way that I've described, what I've done here, what they do end up with is a truly original piece of work. Think of AI. How many of you have been in a committee? How many of you have been in a committee? Committee. Uh-huh. Tell me, first rule of committees, do they ever get anything done? In this case, think of chat as the ultimate committee. 1 billion brains working simultaneously to help generate ideas and output for you that you can then sit down and look at and do your own thinking. You know, it's just like when I went back to the timeline. Yeah, okay, I agree with these, but you left out the go. And to me, from my thinking, go is much more significant, even than ChatGPT 3, because without go, I don't think ChatGPT 3 would have happened. I think we would still be waiting for it. But it was Go's ability to intuitively solve and use that human reasoning quality, near human reason quality, that allowed programmers to take that next step. Now I want to touch on AI detectors in just a little bit more depth for you. As Scott said, they're not reliable. I'm going to beg you, don't use them thinking you're going to catch a student. If you look at the way you and I write as academics, and then you go back and you look at the way AI generates text, the way it generates text is very, very similar to the way academics write, because when it scraped the internet, along with the things it scraped academic papers, and it incorporated that into its writing style the way it is. Now you can tell Chat to change its writing style. You can tell it that, you can give it a persona. One of my favorite personas when I'm playing with Chat, Blacklist, Raymond Reddington. Occasionally I want to give Originality AI, which I'm going to address in just a second. They hate me. Originality AI is, they claim to be the best in the business when it comes to identifying AI-generated materials. But again, going back to what Scott said earlier, they only have a 76% success rate of identifying AI. That means they have a 24% false positive. Anybody in here want to die on that sword? I can tell you right now, if you take a look, if you put AI court cases for universities in an internet search, you'll see that there are a lot of students that are suing universities. They're actually going out and getting lawyers because the professor said, you used generative AI to write this paper. Prove it. You can't. Now, I'll tell you something else. Now, even if the student cites even if they cite AI as being used, you cannot access that. It's not like where you take a citation for a book or a journal. You can take that and paste it into Google Scholar and you can find it. Even if, and on all my screens, I have where I use Chat to generate something, I have that link, I have that citation. But because you don't have access to my account, you can't access it. You can't see exactly what it was that I generated. So you can't look and see, is what I wrote up on that paper, is it word for word from Chat, or did I do some paraphrasing? Did I use some of my own language? You can't identify that. So there's another caveat you have to consider. It's just like Chat, if you ask it to look for a journal. If I take a journal article and I paste it in, and URL, if it's behind a firewall or if it's behind a pay-per-view entry, Chat can't access it. It can't summarize it. Just like it cannot access what I do on Chat, because you need to have my login credentials to do that. Now, this is an example. Now, a lot of people, people like to focus on the false positives. I like the false negatives to show that students can take something, and if they prompt it right, again, this is the other side of the coin. We focus on false positives, but I think I would rather have a false negative, have a student generate a false negative, because they had to think. They had to use their own mind. They had to look at what Chat generated and went, you know what? I need to rewrite this. I need to put this in my own. I need to make this look a little better. My first encounter with Originality AI is I took Mary Had a Little Lamb, put it in Chat, said rewrite it. rewrote it, copied it, pasted it into Originality AI. It gave me a 100% human-generated feedback. It was 100% AI generated. Now, in that case, all I did was say rewrite it. I took an original piece of work, put it in, just simply said rewrite it. But because of the syntax and the vocabulary that it used, it was able to fool. So a student could take an original piece of work, put it in AI, and I know I'm giving the naysayers in the room a lot of ammunition here, but it has to be said. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They can take an original piece, put it in there, and tell Chat to paraphrase it, and then you could probably run it through a plagiarism checker, and it might not identify it as being plagiarized. So there is another caveat that you have to consider. They are not reliable. And as I like to say, if you're going to use a generator, I'm going to tell you that dog won't hunt. It just won't hunt. Leave it alone. Now, if you want to use a generator, let me recommend the following. If you suspect that a student is generated, and I've done this with several pieces of work, put it into the generator, or the detector, the detector. If it gives you that high feedback, then put it in ChatGPT and ask it to do the following. Evaluate the writing style or critique the writing style. What are the errors or the flaws in logic? What are the flaws or the errors in fact? And then when you go back to that student, you don't focus on, hey, you use generative AI. You focus on using AI to identify the subtleties and the errors that they made that they overlooked because they just wanted to get this assignment done and get it out of the way. So they don't take time to proofread it. So you can actually leverage AI to help you, not an I got you thing. You can leverage AI to say to a student, well, okay, look, this is a nice paper, but here are all your errors. Go back and rewrite it. You hold the student accountable, but at a level that's, please believe me, it's going to be a lot easier to live with it at that level, at that academic integrity level, than it would be if you said you use generative AI to do this. So they're going to swear it up and down they didn't. They're going to tell you prove it, and you can't prove it. There's just no way you can do that. So this is a way that you can use AI to enforce academic integrity. So this is just not about students. This is about your learning experiences. This is about you using it and how you can leverage it in your classrooms. It can help with providing feedback. I use it quite a bit when I'm working with my online students to do immediate feedback because I'm not face-to-face with them. So I can take the work and put it in and ask ChatGPT, select because I have a library of prompts. I choose the appropriate prompt for what I wanted to analyze and then have it do that subtle analysis. And then I look at the analysis and go, okay, I agree with this, but not completely. I think I think there's a different angle to look at it. As I mentioned earlier, align it with your education goals. That's the most difficult thing to do when you're working with curriculum. Making sure that your objectives, the activities, the assignments, there's a fluency, there's a coherence in them. You can scaffold learning very easily and very quickly using AI. You can encourage students to interact with it critically. You can enhance the student with feedback. Precise goal setting. Maybe you have a student that you're working with that maybe they need to focus more specifically. Let's say in the math department, somebody's having trouble with a particular math concept. You can take that concept, put it into AI and say, give me some alternative suggestions to help this student who is struggling. And you could take maybe the student's work. You could take a screenshot of the student's work, put it into Forward, and then ask GPT, what are some ideas that are going to help this student better understand the concept and it will generate for you. And then you can look at those and you go, yeah, that's a good idea. No, this is not going to work at all. Think of the amount of time and the level of feedback that's going to be at your fingertips for that. In a literature cast, you might use it to help students to analyze plots and structures more efficiently. And again, going back to if you're going to use it for writing, for AI, I always tell my students first, focus on brainstorming. If you're having writer's block, we all get it. Hardest thing to do is professor gives you a research, says, here's your research topic, write. Got to get past that writer's block. What am I going to write? How am I going to write it? How am I going to structure it? Just simply put the topic in and ask chat, brainstorm, give me 20 ideas for this paper. Then the students got to sit down, they got to sift through those ideas. They got to pick the top 2 or 3. And then they got to take it to the next stage. And then the next stage. And then the next stage. Critical thinking. Again, AI, the ultimate committee, the ideal committee, gets things done. Now imagine having students together collaborating on a project, and they're all feeding ideas. Now in brainstorming, what's the first rule? Brainstorming, first rule. Every idea is acceptable, isn't it? So you have all of these ideas. Now the next step is you got to sort through them. You can have one student sitting there with 3.5 or 4 and put what the group says, here are the top 4 ideas that we think we can work with. And then ask chat, generate some details to go with that. You have to design the prompt correctly to get the right output that you're looking for. But think of the time that that's set of students, and think of the number of options that opens up to them. Think of the number of things that they can now, if they tried to go on the internet and do this and search through Google, oh my God, they'd be there for 2 weeks and probably still not get anything done, because you have to take the time to read each of those. And that's the beauty of AI, is it takes everything that is found on the internet and it generates coherent ideas that are easy for us to understand and connect to. Feedback, again, I use it for formative feedback. Now, here's the trick to formative feedback. I put the student's answer in. Is this answer correct based on the instructions that were given for the assignment? And give me the rationale. Rationale is the key word here. Because what you want to do is you want to see how chat is analyzing that answer, that student response. What is its rationale? Why is it saying it's wrong or it's right? And then because you're the subject matter expert, specialist, however you want to put it, you can then look at what chat generates and go, yep, I agree, or no, not entirely. And then if you need to, you can even go back and reiterate the prompt to fine tune it a little bit better. And this gives you another set of eyes. It's like giving this paper to a colleague and saying, you know, I was looking at this paper and I'm just not quite sure. I mean, we do that. We do that. So enhancing critical analysis can also assist with generating questions. I use this to generate a lot of the questions. I'm trying to think of, you know, what am I going to ask? How am I going to ask it? What's the syntax I'm going to use here? Is my question asking what I want it to ask, what it's going to be? If we approach AI from this angle, believe me when I say, because I'm experiencing this with students that I'm working with online, it really opens up academic honesty. Because students want to show you, they want to show me, Professor Heberling, this is what I put in for the prompt, and this is what it generated, and this is how I took it and reworked it, and this is my final piece of work. They get excited about it because it opens up so many new avenues for them that if they had to sit down and try and do this on the internet, again, they'd be forever looking for stuff. Key, monitor. Monitor and give them feedback. That's probably the most important part of your job, next to making sure they're using it ethically. If you're going to use AI or you're going to allow them. Monitor it and give them feedback. Leveraging. We need to identify opportunities for AI integration, set clear objectives, choose the right tools, design AI-enhanced activities, and integrating assessment. It's a collaborative partner, ladies and gentlemen, not a replacement. It's not going to replace us. I don't care what the naysayers out there are telling the media. It is not going to replace you and I, because it lacks that intuitive human ability, that empathetic human ability when it comes to dealing with information and sharing ideas with people. It works strictly from algorithms and logical and statistical viewpoint, not from an emotional. 35 years in education, the most important thing, and I've taught teachers to be teachers over that time. And the first thing I say is, it's got to come from here. Even at this level, it's got to come from here. You've got to have that personal interest and that personal connection with your students. And believe it or not, using AI correctly, it can do it. So final thoughts. Traditional methodologies are undergoing changes. Our classrooms are going to change and we can't ignore it. We can't be the ostrich and stick our head in the sand. I'm going to go back. How many of you heard the old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? Now, if there are still those of you amongst this group that have that, still have that negative, that, oh, I ain't going to use it, I ain't going to let my students use it, let me suggest to you, it's the best reason I can think of for you to learn how to use GPT and how it works and why it works the way it does. Because if all you do is shut yourself off and say, no, I'm not going to do it, it's not the way we teach. I promise you, you're doing your students a huge disservice. But more importantly, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. You're closing a door that could open up the world to you over the long run. And that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you so much, everybody. I know we're antsy to get to lunch. Just a few housekeeping things. Lunch will be served where breakfast and the coffee was. So in that same area, they'll create a line for you to move through, grab yourself a drink and some delicious food. You're more than welcome to eat in here or in any of the breakout rooms or outside if the wind has calmed down. Or go about your day however you would like. Breakouts sessions start at 12:30. We have four offered each hour. So there's 3 classrooms right outside in this hallway. And then towards this exit door, there's 1095 is where the 4th one will be held. There'll be someone there to wave and usher you in if you would like to join that room as well. Please clean up after yourselves. Our custodial team is really, really wonderful, but we can definitely help them out by keeping us this place as tidy as possible. Thank you so much and enjoy your lunch. We'll see you later.